Oh. Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Conversations with King. And I just want to let you know I'm so happy to be here with you today. We have an amazing show, and we're gonna have like these amazing, brilliant, fearless, beautiful women have these tough conversations about pretty privilege. But before we jump into that, I want to say shout out to everybody that came to support my channel. And also, guess what? We are monetized now, so you can send the super chats in, and you can also send the cash apps into this particular channel if you like. And also, go and support everybody on the panel. I hope that everybody is ready for tonight. Before we begin, we want to, shout out to all the sponsors. First and foremost, shout out to Ripple. Ripple, who comes to support us every show. Please go and get Ripple. Look down at the ticker. You can use my discount code called the Ripple King. This is not THC. This is not nicotine. This is like smoking. Somebody has the yeah. Thank you. Press mute if you have that on. Who has the another screen on? Or just press mute on your TV? I mean,
Oh, it's probably mine.
I got it. I got it. I got you. Don't worry, sis. So go and get the Ripple. The please go and support. This is the lychee aroma. This is such a dope aroma. It's like smoking natural herbs, not the sensibilia, but natural herbs. Also, we want to give a shout out to my book. Please go and support Loving Life Through the Eyes of Travel. It's sold on Kindle, Apple iBooks, Book Baby, and Amazon. We want you to go and support. It's about 60 affirmations about me traveling the world and romancing women, and then eventually leaving, breaking my heart because no one loves me. It's okay. I love myself. So please go and support that book. I always find a way to get into some crazy relationships, but we don't want to talk about that, do we? Shout out to you're funny, Jen. Shout out to Gina. Thank you, Gina, for the donations. You are so dope. And can you stop being nasty with Loverboy Lenski, please? You were crazy yesterday. That was so crazy. You had Loverboy Leslie running for like the hills. He could not handle what you were saying, but we understand. You say you're from PR, and we know there's nothing that is more enticing than Latin lovers. So crazy, that's so crazy that you went there with him. You're you're different. You're different. Shout out to Loverboy Lansky. Shout out to Miss Dean. We appreciate you, Han. Shout out to 100 Watts. Shout out to everybody in the room. I don't want to take up any more time because these lovely ladies are ready to go. So I am going to fall back and let y'all do your thing. I might pop in here and there just to ask a question. So y'all take care, ladies, and you do your thing.
Peace. Uh-oh.
All right. First of all, I want to welcome Jen and Monique to the panel. My aunt, we know each other. And I appreciate you guys, you ladies, you know, having time to be here because you could be anywhere else. So I appreciate it. And I know, Jen, you're going to be a part of this panel going forward. And so we are happy to have you on board. But I'm going to jump right into it. And so we want to discuss Miss Tammy Roman. Why don't you tell us a little bit about her, Jen? Like, what's going on with Tammy?
Okay, so for those of you that don't know, Tammy Roman is a reality show actress, and most recently she went viral yet again because she said publicly that she gave her husband permission to leave the marriage and go have another child outside of the marriage and come back. Reason being, she's 51. She doesn't want to go through pregnancy. She doesn't want to have any more children. She has 2 grown daughters. And she said, hey, you're a lot younger than I am. I believe he's in his 30s. So she said, I don't want to take that experience away from you of having a child. So you go out there, find another woman, have a child, then come back.
She said he could come back.
Yes. She told him he can come back.
Okay, so that's what I didn't catch the last time that the guy spoke about this. Actually, I didn't catch that part because at first I was just like, okay, this is a wife that's saying, because there was a lot of adultery, judgment, you're going to hell comments. And so I was just like, this is a wife that's actually giving him the permission. This is not deceit. This is not him going behind her back. This is, and this happens where there are certain cultures where if a woman can't produce, a man will actually take it upon himself to go and pick up another wife, right? Without her consent, without her, giving any type of like, okay. So this is not that situation. This is her saying, you know what? I have children. He has none, from my understanding. He is actually the younger one in the dynamic, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay, and clearly, and this is what I think people gotta bear in mind when people are married or in relationships, there's a lot of conversation that happens behind closed doors. And so we're just seeing that, oh, she's letting him do that. But it could be that she understands his desire for a child, right? His desire for a child may be really strong, because from my understanding, they tried before and it just didn't happen. Now, I don't know about the coming back piece, okay? All right, Tammy. I don't know about that part. But here's the thing I realized. She can't win either way, because if she is to divorce him for that reason, then she's going to be judged. And if she is to say, go and do this, she is still going to be judged. So I think it has to come down to whatever she feels at peace with, whatever helps, whatever is going to allow her to sleep at night. I feel like that's what she should go with. We are all going to have an opinion. I mean, so what? It boils down to the fact that it is you guys' personal life, and you all that have to live with whatever repercussions follow, right? And it is a risk. People are like, he's not going to come back. I think that this is a calculated decision, and you have to factor in all the risk involved. And one of them should be, I might lose my man, okay? I may lose my man. So that's just my take on that. For me personally, it's not about, there's no deceit. There's a woman that's saying, I cannot give you this. But I just don't agree with the coming back piece. I just really think she should just cut her losses. That's me.
Yeah, I agree with that. Me personally, I wouldn't go that route. I feel like there's so many, especially with people who like celebrities, they have money. So I just feel like it's so many other avenues to take. Like, was there a surrogate mentioned? Were there, the coming back piece, I couldn't do it. But there are times in history where women didn't even know their men were stepping out, and then they would raise those children as their own. So, it's one of those things where, it's been done. At least they are having the communication where they know either way, like, that's what you can go do. But me personally, I ain't trying to hear any of that.
Nick, what do you think?
Girl, my initial thought is when you're in a relationship with somebody, children get discussed before you get married. Things like finances, children, how you want to raise them, how, practicing religion in the house. Those are conversations that are supposed to be, or typically had, prior to marriage, at least in our country. I mean, I know other cultures it's different still, but here, those are discussions you should have prior. And I understand he's much younger, but my main thing, so like me personally, I don't have kids yet. I'm 37. So my main thing is I tell guys straight up off the bat on first dates, like, yo, I want kids and I want to get married. Like, no offense to anybody who's not married, whatever, and does it the other way. Like, I'm still old school. Like, I want to get married first, have kids. So that's why I don't mind scaring dudes off on the first, second date, because at least I'm being upfront with my desires and how I want to live my life. And the whole point of being in a relationship is to have a life with somebody and be on the same page. So this is where I'm kind of like, why is this even a conversation in their marriage when it should have been had prior? That's my opinion on it.
I think, of course, it goes without saying, to each its own, right?
Yeah.
But I think that people, they complicate their own lives, in my opinion, right? There are millions of people, billions of people on this planet. And I am with Monique. I like having conversations up front. I do the 20 questions just to get all the BS out the way, because initially relationships feel amazing, right?
Yeah.
Heart pitter patters, and you're starting to like this guy and you're feeling him. And we forget to ask those very important questions. Finances, children, and marriage are very, very, very important. I think Tammy's taking a risk, sending a man off to, have sexual relations with another woman and bringing back a child. And you're not only bringing back that child, you're bringing back the mother. So you don't know if that man is going to pick, you know what I mean? Correct? You're going to help pick the woman. You know what I mean? So I think people complicate their own lives. Tammy's a beautiful woman. She can have any man she wants, same as her husband. He's handsome. He can have any woman he wants. But for some reason, they want to complicate their lives with each other. I'm out. I wouldn't do it, but I'm not Tammy. That's my opinion.
You know, when my Achi brought up a point, because when Kingdom spoke about it, that's what came to my mind. Like, why not just use a surrogate? You can still have your marriage and use a surrogate. We've seen different celebrities who have kind of gone that route. So I don't know if it's an issue of her eggs. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't know exactly how.
It almost sounds like she doesn't want to raise a child. That's what it almost sounds like.
No,
like
because
she doesn't.
No, and that's what I wanted to say. They've tried.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
okay.
there has been some miscarriages. I just want.
So is she interested in raising the child though?
I didn't think so, Matt. I didn't think so.
I gotta jump in because I'm sorry.
Okay.
I gotta
Look,
jump
we made it 4 minutes in. Okay.
I gotta jump in because are y'all factoring the fact that she is 54 years old?
I mean,
and
then that's the thing too, though. That's what I said. These are conversations that should be had prior, because I understand, like, if I dated an older man, that's possibly that he doesn't want to have kids anymore. So that'd be a huge thing for me, where I'd be like, all right, then, well, I know what I want. I can continue this relationship.
She's 51.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like I said, but like, if it was the other way around, I am dating an older man who's done having kids, then I'd be like, all right, well, I still want kids. So, you know. And
okay, so
I mean, at 51, I'm not going to want to raise kids for a baby.
There's an echo. Sorry.
There's an echo.
She is 51. They had been together for some years, and so what I was saying to the ladies is that they were trying over those years before she probably even hit 50. And I just want to be clear, Tammy had tried to let this guy go before, just so you know. She has. Yes, and he's like, I love you. It doesn't matter. But again, she has lived, she's been through, the relationships and on this earth longer than he has. And she's probably looking like, you know what? You are wrapped up in your feelings, but I don't need to deal with this coming up when I'm like 59. You know what I'm saying? Or something
I want to ask a real question. And this goes to the Tammy Roman husbands and the Usher, the woman that Usher date, because he tends to date older women, right? Mm-hmm. What advice do you give older women to younger men who they date and want a complete family, right? What would you tell them to tell the younger men? Like, what are certain things they shouldn't promise to a younger man if they're going to go into a relationship? Because I feel like Monique says, there's certain things that should have been talked about, and there's certain things that shouldn't have been entertained. What can a younger guy, because I like older women, right? What can I accept or not accept realistically from relationships? That question goes to everybody.
Okay, well, I'll answer first. I'm 47, but word on the YouTube streets is I'm 50. But last I checked, I was 47, right? I've dated younger men. I love how Matt takes a sip.
They tend to not have kids, so I'm just trying to find one without kids.
I've dated younger men, okay? When I was 37, I dated someone who was 27, okay? 27. So I wouldn't even lie. I'm sorry. As a woman that was a decade older than a man, it's a pasatiempo, as we say. It's a smash. I'm not looking for a future with a man that's 10 years younger than me. I'm not even going to get so involved where it's like, hey, go have kids and come back. To me, I'm sorry, it's going to sound cool, but I wouldn't take it seriously. If you're an older woman, like 51, like Tammy, and 30 something, he's in his early 30s, I believe. I just think you're complicating. I think you're complicating your life. But to answer your question, what advice would I give? Don't promise them anything, because you don't know how that man's going to feel in 10 more years. Maybe he's going to want kids in 10 more years. And then what are you going to do? Like Matt said something earlier. I could not picture raising a child now at this age. No way, no how, no way in hell. I don't want to do schools. I don't want to do diapers. I don't want to do formula. I can't do it because I've been there and done that. And I was like, now I'm getting back into me. So I'm like, I couldn't do it. So I feel Tammy, but to go and come back, I'm like, he's coming back with a baby and a baby mama. No.
Life's different when you got money.
Yes, I guess.
Life's different when you got money. You can have some outlandish ideas like that, and
yes, correct.
All parties can be happy.
I'm glad you said that, Monique, because we have to understand these celebrity lives.
Because because that's the thing. It's like they're in a whole different universe than the average person. You know, we got to sometimes worry about our month-to-month bills. Not, oh, I can pay for 10 nannies for my man and his 2 baby mamas. Like, it's just, it's just different.
That's true. I can't relate. I don't.
King, you're on mute.
Mayette, how do you feel? Mayette, how do you feel? Like, what advice would you give?
I agree with that, because if I'm in my 50s and I'm dating a younger guy, 20 years, that's not because I'm not gonna say I don't want a future with him, but it's usually for other reasons. Like King. So let me ask you: if you say you like dating older women.
Yeah.
So are you okay with them not wanting to have children? Because I know you said you want to have a family.
Right, and that's one of the issues. The issues I get with dating older women is, and I say older, and I mean, because usually I'm supposed to date someone in their 20s, right? I'm 41, 20s or early 30s. But I usually date women in their late 30s to late 40s. And the issue I get is that they already have families already. Like they have like blended families, and that's a little bit hard for me to do because I'm 41, I have no children, and I never been married. Like kind of like Monique, I want to get married, then have kids, right? But in my crazy mind, don't laugh at me. If I do marry an older woman, she's going to have to accept that I'm going to have a baby by a younger woman, and we're all going to be a family, somewhere, some way. I know that's crazy to most, but if she can't give me, because some women don't want to have kids. You got to understand, some women don't. Not all women want to have kids.
Yeah.
So, but you should at least respect me and the fact that I want to have a legacy, right? I want to have.
So you want a Tammy?
Yes. Yeah. I do. I mean, I would appreciate, but I don't think that's realistic, though, right?
See, and
why do people complicate their lives? Here we have Monique, right? 37, right? King, you're 41.
Right.
Neither of you have children.
Right.
Why wouldn't you look for a situation like that? Why complicate your life with a woman who's older, who doesn't want to have children, and you have to tell her, listen, I'm gonna go have some kids over here with this youngin and come back? Like, why don't you just find someone?
Because people like Monique
live in LA and everybody sucks.
Yeah, because Monique lives in LA, but also people like Monique are very, very picky. Let me tell you why. And she's deserving. For a woman to wait that long for the right situation, she's just not going to pick anybody. Right? It's so it's really hard. Like even me, I waited this long. Now I got to do the right thing because it's like, what the fuck, right? I waited this long.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. It's really hard. So that's just me. That's I don't know how.
And it sucks to hear the word picky because it sounds negative.
Right.
But it's like in my 20s up, I've been, working on my career, working on my finances, fixing my credit, things you need to. I mean, I get it. Most people when they're young parents, you have to fix those things along the way. I did it, a certain type of way because I saw a lot of my girlfriends struggle as single moms or as young mothers. And even my parents were teenage parents and like they hustled their butts off. I just didn't want to do the same thing.
Right.
Like I said, now it kind of sucks that I'm at my age and I don't mind if I meet somebody with a kid, just not multiple baby mamas and stuff to where it's just, a headache, because I mean, if you deal with me, it's easy. Like I don't have a bunch of things floating around or, multiple things
right. But
that's it's kind of hard to articulate it without sounding kind of like a brat, it's like, it's just, I feel like, it's like, if you deal with me, like you be like, hey, let's hang out Friday. Cool. You can hang out Friday. You want to do this 2 months from now? I can plan that. But people with children, it's kind of hard to manage all these different things or money. Kids are expensive, so that's my take.
So let me ask you a question. This is a deep question. It's for particularly Monique.
I wanted to say to answer Jen's question too, as far as Monique. You mean Monique, did she say 37? 37, Monique? Okay.
Yeah.
Monique is not the majority, nor is King.
True.
So that's the tricky part as well.
Wow.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, and so I mean, most 37-year-olds, they either have children already, have been married, are married, whatever that is, but that's not the majority. And then King be 41 and never had children, never been married by 41. that is not, that's a rare situation.
Yeah, it's weird.
Right. And so you're asking,
I applaud you.
I wasn't a therapist, trust me. I was engaged before, but that didn't work out, for
you're asking two
many
anomalies,
reasons.
like what, like anomalies just don't really link together like that easily, because they're surrounded by what is common all the time. So it takes like a divine intervention for them to bump into each other. So just to speak to what you asked, Jen.
Trust me, girl, I'm praying all the time.
So let me ask you a question. Are you willing to, everybody here, except for Hanifa and Mayat, because they are in relationships, are y'all willing to go without a husband or a family if you don't meet the right person?
I mean, I have this far. So.
Jen?
Yes, me too. Only because I have so many things on my plate that I'm trying to accomplish.
Right.
Now a man isn't on that plate.
Yeah, it's like
he wasn't on the weekend. I said he wasn't on the plate. I didn't say he wasn't on the dessert menu.
Right.
I think down the line that might change, Jen or Monique, like as you guys acquire the things that you guys are going after right now, because this is a conversation in the manosphere, right? The whole hitting the wall conversation. Right? And so do you guys think at some point you might acquire all the things that you want or you're going after, and then it's like you start to kind of slow down a little bit? Do you think maybe at some point you may miss that? Do you think that's a possibility?
Yeah, I believe that. That's why, as of actually, since everything opened back up over the summer, I've been forcing myself to go out and at least put myself in situations where hopefully I can meet a person, because I've never even been on a dating app, because that scares me. Because again, I have a lot of friends. All my girlfriends are sitting there like, "Can you believe this?" And like, it's like when we get together, like the horror stories that these girls tell me, I'm just like, why do you keep putting just throw yourself in somebody's trunk and get kidnapped already? Like, it's some really crazy, there's some crazy people out there. And I don't know where you ladies are from, but like, I mean, I know Jen, you're in Vegas, so I know everybody's crazy out there too, because it's a lot of us LA people, but LA's just a different universe. But I've been forcing myself to go out to hopefully, meet a decent human. And I go to places where, I like the crowd, or I love sporting events, so it's like I'm going to places where at least I'll meet somebody with hopefully the same interests,
right?
To where it's not completely just like a weird setup where we're forcing something to happen.
It's crazy because I went out last night. So I went out last night, and I even went out before to watch the fight. I remember I called Jen. I was like, Jen, do you have any girls in New York to come and meet me at the 40/40? Because I don't know, because it's like
I was just there last week.
Yeah, it was. Oh wow. Okay, but it was crazy because the dating scene now for me it's horrible. So I'm out last night in the club, and I did the typical thing: bought the bottles and the table. I spent $2,700 for nothing. Mm-hmm. It was nothing but the young girl, the girls, the one. I don't know. I just feel like women look so much better when they're 33, 35 and older. They look better. Like
it's the confidence that comes with just accepting.
Yeah, I can't. You can see the difference. Like, damn, you a little girl. Mm-hmm. Like, I could be a teacher. Like, really, Mr. H, I could be a teacher. Like, you're a little. So I can't. It doesn't make sense for me the whole dating scene anymore, right? Every girl I date has to be a reference now. You have to meet somebody else. I
want to answer Hanifa's question because it is a great question. And if anyone's interested, I did a hit the wall episode on the block with Jen. That's very, very interesting, with a man who insists women hit the wall. But to answer your question, the reason why I'm not worried about that at all is because I've had 3 very significant relationships in my life, and they were 13 years, 3 years, and 10 years committed. So I've had my fill of sharing space with a man. And if I should ever in between, like it's kind of like a man when he's chasing his money. If ever in between, I want to have a little fun, you know what I'm saying? I can always call one of those old slides and be like, hey, big head, you know how it goes. But right now, that's not on my plate.
Yeah, I'm not in that mode. It's like, I force myself out, but I'm still I have so many things going on right now that it's just, if it happens, great. I just feel like as long as I'm staying positive and constantly working on myself, hopefully God's like, you know what? Okay. Because clearly I haven't finished doing whatever work it is that I'm supposed to be doing with it.
No, or it could be LA. It could be LA. LA is
LA sucks. And then
LA is
again,
a tough
I mean,
place.
it goes both ways for us ladies and you men. Like,
Yeah.
social media has ruined it because now for you men, it's like if you want a real woman, at least in LA, the hardly any exist. They all went to TJ for their bodies to get done and stuff, and then the personality that goes with it because they're chasing the Instagram lifestyle.
Right.
Like, so you're not even going to meet like a nice, decent woman with like real goals or standards or values because they're chasing the ballers. They're chasing the dudes with the bottles. They're chasing this like new dream. Because the American dream now has been replaced with like this Instagram like life that people are going for. So again, I mean, it kind of sucks for y'all on that end.
Right.
And then
you blame them? You blame
guys don't
them?
know what to do with a normal female.
Do you blame them? Like I tell guys all the time, do you get mad at women who look good and say, you know what, I'm going to benefit off of this? Do you really blame them?
I feel like we're gonna get into that later on.
Let us start the segue.
Great segue. That's a great segue.
Right.
That's a good segue. Let's do it.
All right. Like I always wonder, like if being pretty gets you, you know, dinner, trips, gifts, even in corporate America, people tend to listen to you more, right? Because you're attractive. They tend to come to your every call, right? What is the point? What is wrong by a woman using her pretty privilege to advance in life? What, like, men use their money privilege, right? Like if I'm a tall guy, I'm gonna use that to my advantage to date certain women, right? I'm saying, right? So, but if I have money, I'm going to use that to my advantage, right? What is wrong for a woman to use her looks to get ahead in life, and also to, you know, because you got to figure, women, they you know, you have anomalies, but most women, you know, they say, you know what, from my 20s to my 30s, I'm trying to live life because I might not look this way after children or after life or just anything, right? Anything could happen to you. So why don't we encourage women to use their prettiness when they have it to get what they want? And I'm not trying to be a simp. It's why not?
So that takes us into tonight's topic, the good, the bad, and the ugly about pretty privilege. Y'all ready for this? Who wants to answer King first? Is there something wrong with women using their looks to get things?
First of all, Jen, is that a soundboard you are?
A soundboard
drum? Okay.
That was me. That was me.
I was like, wait, hold up. Okay. I do not want to go first. So someone take this.
Yeah, I'm like trying to figure out like, where to even start with that, because my personal opinion on that, because I guess a little background on myself. I actually modeled professionally, green girl professionally all through my 20s, paid for college with that. But again, I guess that's kind of a way of using it. But I mean, I used it for, I guess, you know, a positive thing. I had goals and I knew, like you said, you know, use it while you can. I knew it was a small window. And I mean, I had hoped to be married and had kids before I was 30. So that's why I was on my hustle with that. I mean, everything I did paid well. Like I said, I got my degrees. I traveled a lot, you know, it was a good benefit. But I mean, at the end of the day, I had real goals. And I feel like, and again, I don't know, maybe it's because social media wasn't as crazy, you know, 10 plus years ago. So that's why my personal experience, I don't feel like it was too bad. But I feel like nowadays I see all these girls that like, and I sometimes bartend here and there once in a while. So I see all these girls that have had everything done and they're in the club just like little sharks, like who's the baller, like, and you see them, you know, just twerking on random, you know, dudes that are, you know, you could tell like obviously the guys that are trying to use their money to attract. It's a messed up game to watch play in real life, but I just feel like a lot of these girls though, I don't see them doing much like with it. Like, 'cause at the end of the day, like, you know, King said, you know, a legacy, whether you have kids or not, like, you know, when people think of you, what do they think? Like, I want people to be like, wow, you know, Mo did something, you know, Mo started a business, Mo, you know, something positive. But also, I mean, there's a lot of negatives too that come with it though, because I spend a lot of time kind of defending myself a lot. People right away would be like, oh, she's dumb. Oh, she's a hoe. Oh, blah, blah. And it was like, and when I modeled most of my 20s, I was engaged. So I worked, took my butt right home. Like, and I had a wonderful fiance that trusted me, didn't care if I was out of state for a week or whatever, because he knew, I would act right. But it kind of sucked at the same time to have people look at you and be like, And then, or my favorite is, oh, I didn't know you're smart. Oh, I didn't know you know about that. Oh, you're interested in those things. Like, it's just one of those dumb things, but somebody else could take over all this because I could probably go on and on about that.
So, Hanifa, you want to go or you want me to go?
You can go ahead, Jen.
Okay, so
I'm not Jen modeling. Well, I was doing her makeup, but
yes, matter of fact, I wanted, in case you guys don't know, I wanted Monique on this panel because I thought she'd be a great contributor because she's a makeup artist as well as a model. And we met at a gig. She did my makeup. So I know she's seen way more than me regarding, beauty and what's thought of as beauty and what have you. So there's twofold for me. Yes, anything that you have that's above the status quo can be used as a privilege. Let's be clear, whether it's you're taller than some people, whether it's you're stronger than some people, whether it's you're considered more attractive than some people, whether you have more money. It can all be used as a privilege, but I'm sorry. I'm not taking the full weight. I wouldn't be able to use pretty privilege if society didn't deem me more valuable than people that aren't as attractive. So there, I'm not taking all the weight. So yes, I will get out of a ticket. Yes, I will get more cinnamon on my Starbucks coffee. Okay. Yes, I will get that discount. But is it my fault, really? Is it my fault?
Well, because at the end of the day, it's like you can't control the people's opinions or these biases that we're taught since we're younger, especially in this country. It's like people are taught to value certain looks or whatever and to treat those people accordingly. And it kind of, like there's two sides to it.
Like Monique, yeah, like you said, Monique, it's like there's good, bad, and ugly. Like you, I have to go through always explaining myself, or I do this thing where I'm like dumbing down or dimming if I'm around other women because I'm already walking in what they consider a threat sometimes. And please, por Dios, not all, some. Some women will look at me and walk in and not feel a damn thing. But the majority of women feel a certain type of way. So I feel like, let me not, be as funny. Or let me not be as attractive so I can get along with the rest of the girls. I don't do that anymore at this age, thank goodness. But it's something that comes with that quote unquote pretty privilege thing where you have to dumb yourself down. Now, I know some people go, oh, poor you. But the thing is, until you walk in someone's shoes, you really don't know what the experience is. And I can go on, but Hanifa,
Ma'at, you want to go ahead?
Okay.
Yeah, I was like, just shut us up.
Go ahead.
This one is a little difficult for me just because it's like we have that pretty privilege within our community, but we also have that issue where you don't necessarily get looked as pretty. What? Okay, let's like this. Women, like us as Black women, we have a different, it's kind of different from us because it's like I was in the South, I lived in Louisiana. So when you walk in the door, you might be seen as pretty, but at the same time, you're also like your color precedes you. So I never got out of a ticket, like because it was just like, oh, but you still Black. And it would be that I remember it was a white girl hit me from the back, had my kid in the car and everything. And she got out of the ticket. White girl, she got out of the ticket, but then but it's those issues that we kind of have in our community because in essence, when we talk about pretty privilege in our community, it's more of like who gets the guys as opposed to who is getting a leg up. It's like there's the girls who look at you side eye because maybe the guys are more interested in you, but it's not necessarily that you're getting privileges that other communities get. So it's a little bit more difficult for me to talk about this because it's just like it's not necessarily the same. It's not necessarily equal when we talk about those different privileges amongst the different communities.
Yeah, it is different from place to place for sure.
I can understand.
Yeah, it's interesting because I had to really think about this, right? And what I realized is that all of us at some point have benefited from some sort of privilege. Like Jen said, there are many different privileges out there. But for me, I personally see pretty privilege as bullshit, right? I see it as a euphemism, if anything else, because it is undergirded by a whole lot of other things that we would prefer not to talk about, right? And when I say that, when we talk, I give an example, they are, and I feel like they are categories. So let's say we're in America, we're in the Western world. I'm gonna go ahead with Monique and say, well, we live here, right? So let's deal with here. So you can have just a mixed bag, and you place them in the room, okay? A mixed bag of women that are considered pretty from every state in the United States. You put them in a room. There is going to be a hierarchy. What determines the hierarchy? The dominant society, the society who defines the beauty standards. Okay, so when I say it's a euphemism, I say it's a euphemism because really what's driving it is, for example, we talked about age. That's one, right? Ageism, right? Pretty privilege is temporary. Because why is it temporary? Because on that, the thing that's undergirding it is actually there's ageism, there's ableism, there's heightism. Someone mentioned it, right? There's a whole lot of isms and schisms that are involved in it. So for me, when I think about pretty privilege, here's what I try to make sure I do not do. I do not approach pretty privilege as an individual thing. That it's Jen. That Jen, you just made a good point, because it's not the person's fault. The issue that I have and how I try to approach it is, my focus is, how do we dismantle the structures, the concepts, the ideologies, the systems in place, right? That puts one particular group while marginalizing another group, right? Because here's the reality. The reason why I say it's bullshit, it's because you have people who are getting in the door that because of pretty privilege, right? And somebody else is pushed out, but it doesn't make that other person less intelligent. Okay, we're seeing a whole bunch of these little rappers, and no shade to the woman, you know, little rappers coming up. We know good and well they ain't got no daggone talent. Okay, something got them in the door, and that is what I'm focused on, because I'm not focused on the person, right? Because that's where the division comes in, when we start focusing on each other, and then it gets catty and people start fighting each other. No, there are some systems at play that we have to dismantle. And for me, it starts with me. Monique, you mentioned, you know, it's beauty bias. In a nutshell, it's beauty bias. Oh. Sort of like we learn beauty bias, right? I don't know how true that is, because there's some studies out there about babies and ugly faces. So I don't know how true that is.
It's true. It's true.
Right. But I don't think that the babies are defining beauty by what can I say? By what the dominant society standards. There's levels to it. So there's the science piece, right? Where you're talking about symmetry, you're talking about proportion, you're talking about averageness, all of these things. These studies are out there, right? So I think that is what the baby's responding to. But then that baby grows up, right? And then starts to participate in the categorization of all these different people based on the things that are undergirding what we are calling pretty privilege, if I'm clear. So when Monique, when you said, I don't know if we can unlearn it, I actually think we can. Because when I talk about dismantling systems, you cannot dismantle a system that exists within you. So you have to start to work on it within yourself and work on your own biases. So when I say I have to think through it, I really had to think through it, because I had to look and say, have I benefited from this? We had a situation earlier. Have I benefited from this? And then if I have, am I comfortable with it? Am I comfortable with somebody that's darker than me and may have a broader nose and bigger lips and smaller eyes, and they're marginalized, but they are just as qualified? Am I comfortable with that? And so that's what I mean. We have to face those particular concepts and ideologies that we perpetuate. We uphold the system. So when it comes to that, I'm like, that's a euphemism. That's my opinion. Don't y'all come for me. That's my opinion. And so that's kind of how I approach it. I hope I was clear. I'm sorry. I said about.
No, I love your passion on this.
So,
but like,
welcome.
Hey guys. I didn't want to interrupt because I was listening in, and so just trying to catch up with everything you guys were saying.
I
want to respond to Hanifa, because I I love your passion too. yes, it's unfair. No, I will not see another woman abused in my presence because of what I look like. But I don't mind that the system is in place because life is short and I got things to do. So if you could get me to the front of the line, let's go, let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Right? But no, I would never, with that said, sit and just be like, oh, you can't sit with us. We're the pretty girls. And never.
I've always hated that. Yeah.
Never. So just responding to Hanifa.
And it's one of those things where it's like, when do we learn that? Like, when do we learn? Because, like, so random backstory, I actually went to college in Pennsylvania and I experienced the opposite out there. If you weren't white, you weren't attractive. Because I lived out of Harrisburg and, like, it was weird. So I also got to be like, what's your problem? Why are you being mean to me? I just asked you politely a question and people will just go out of the way to be rude to me sometimes. And I was like, it was one of those things where it's kind of like I got to see both sides of it. And I literally had to come at them with like my intelligence, my personality, my manners, and be like, you're going to respect me, and it's weird to not almost get that door open up the bat. It's when you're in a different place. I mean, I don't know what it was like in New York growing up. Like I said, out here in LA, like we have everything. And another random thing, I didn't even know I was Latina till 3rd grade when they made us do that stupid country like assignment where they're like, hey, your ancestors, do a report on it. And I'm like, what am I? I didn't know. I just knew I was lighter than my black friends. And I knew I was darker than my white friends. But I didn't know that white is white, black is white. I just knew we were all different skin tones. And I thought everybody was cool as hell. Like, I did not know that there was a difference. Because at the end, I was like, I don't know. We're just human with different tans. Like, I didn't know. So it's like, at what age do we start getting this subconsciously put in our head that, this is pretty, that's not pretty. Instead of like, this is a dope person.
It's like there's a hierarchy.
We get that very early. We get those messaging from movies. And Tawana, I really want you to jump in.
Yeah, I want to hear what the question is because I think I missed what the actual question, what the question is and what's the background on.
It's not a question. It's just the topic is pretty privileged, and we're allowing everyone to kind of say what their thoughts are on the on pretty privilege. So you can jump in at any time, but I just wanted to respond to Monique and say we get that programming very, very, very early. And I agree with Jen. I mean, a lot of it, as far as participating in it, a lot of it is like we really don't know what we are willing to do until we have to survive some shit. You know what I mean? And that's just real. That's just real. Mouths have to be fed. Right. And if my lighter skin is going to get my babies fed, then I'm going to utilize it. That's how some people feel. That's just real. But I guess I was just coming from, and I already spoke my piece, so I'm not going to go into it anymore. But just my angle on, pretty privilege. It exists. It's a real thing. I just think it's a mask for a whole lot of other isms. But hey, go ahead, Tawana.
So Tawana basically the good, the bad, and the ugly of pretty privilege.
Yeah, because I've been on both ends. I've been on the end where I've been accused of utilizing pretty privilege, and then I've been on the end where I've seen it work, and I've seen it, if someone have more, I guess, mainstream features, then they are considered prettier, right? They're lighter, as Hanifa said, then they're considered prettier. And so I've seen the benefits of that as well. So I'll say that, part of it, I've experienced it on, my end where people have accused me of maybe being promoted or being, put in certain places because men were attracted to me. And I felt like, but I am intelligent and I do have all the other skills, but I guess for others, it was like, no, we only see that these men are attracted to you. And that's why you're in the places that you're in. Right. And so I know that it exists, but is it a terrible thing? I don't know. I guess sometimes I feel like, if someone's more qualified and you're using physical attributes to determine whether you're going to hire this person over this person, then I do, I understand why it could be problematic. But I also feel like it's so subjective. It's hard to really prove. It's also like colorism, where people argue that colorism don't exist, even though we experience it. That it exists, but it's hard to actually show how it's being used, right? It's hard to prove. It's like covert racism. It's not overt right now. We know it's there. We know it's a privilege, but it's definitely different among other cultures. I'm just gonna say that. Like, it's definitely different. The lighter your skin, the more privileged you are in Black culture. And I've seen it. The longer your hair, the more features you have that are similar to other races, exotic, they call it, or races where they, white. I don't want to, white women. If you have, the more features you have that are similar, the more beautiful people associate with, you with. The media plays a part in that, obviously. Y'all know. I mean, it's so much, everything that y'all said is true. I think it's just so much. I don't know, like, I mean, I'm going to be okay with getting my extra wing at Popeyes, though, because I was, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'll ride to the drive-thru. And he's like, oh, yeah, I'm going to give you an extra. And one time,
extra wing.
Right, you know what I'm saying? I got my little free food because they said I was cute. I mean, I'm not going to stop that, I'm sorry. I'm just not going to do it.
Here's two things that I'm thinking as you're speaking, right? So you made me think of something. I think it's a travesty to have pretty privilege and not own it.
Right.
To allow other people outside of yourself to commodify it and exploit it because you are unaware or you just in denial of it.
Right.
That's a travesty. It's one thing to have pretty privilege and own it and use it to your advantage. But if you want to be a kunumunu, because that's what we say in the island, a kunumunu, a dum-dum, okay? Mm-hmm. If you want to be a dum-dum and know that this is a privilege, but instead of you utilizing it, and you could utilize it for many, you could utilize it in a way to where you actually begin to fight for other people who are marginal. You can use it in many capacities, but it's a travesty when you don't own it. And then
do you think that you cannot recognize it? Because I know that
not always.
Well, so I was on many panels, and I would be talking about like my experience with men. Like, no, I don't tolerate this, I don't tolerate that. And one woman, she was like, "Are you aware of your pretty privilege?" Right? And in the middle of me saying that, and I was like, "Girl, what? Like, no, you can do that too." And she was like, "No, like." You need to be aware of that because sometimes you get away with stuff that I can't get away with because of that. And I was like, I mean, I didn't recognize that in that moment. Like, but then I thought about it and I was like, okay, is this true? So I don't know if I was purposely ignoring it or if I was benefiting from it and just liking it and not really thinking about.
Sometimes you're not aware of it all the time.
Right.
What I'm trying to say. I'm saying, speaking to what Jen was saying, Jen was like, run me my check. Okay?
Right.
Run me my check. Because if anybody I'm just saying, if anybody gonna benefit from this, it's gonna be me, right? That's what she's saying. She's owning the fact. See, I think that the pretty privilege conversation, a lot of people shy away from having it. And for me, it's like, we can't do anything about it if we don't even want to talk about it, right? If we don't even want to accept that it's a real thing. Right. And so the second thing I wanted to say to you, Tawana, when we were talking, because we talked about this a little earlier, but let me be clear. There is some science involved. However, I do really think, because we were talking about natural selection and all of those things, I really think, for example, if you just put a bunch of white women, just white women, since we know that their society is the one that sets the beauty standard, right?
Right.
Even within that room of just art, there will still end up being somebody who is determined prettier than others, okay? Right. And I really think that's where the science comes in as far as symmetry, as far as proport, all of those things, okay? I think I think that's when it comes in. I think when you lump everybody in under the Western umbrella, you have to acknowledge that there is a standard. There is a standard, and let's be real. We know what the standard is. Come on now. You know what I'm saying? We are very clear on that. So yes, if you put all black women, like my aunt mentioned, it's still going to be a girl that somebody decides is prettier. However, even in those environments, it becomes subjective, right?
Yeah.
Because somebody might see you and say you gorgeous, and this other dude might come along and be like, "No, the hell she is." Like,
I've been in those situations.
like, don't you see what her top lip look like? You know what I mean, or something. It'll be
Well, that's
something.
that saying. You're not everybody's cup of tea. You know, it's like, I mean, I'm somebody shout out to Tequila for all I know.
I
think
mean,
it
I'm
does, though,
definitely.
have
You have to understand that everybody is not going to consider you pretty. My grandmother told me that a long time ago. Like, it's always somebody prettier, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I think she saw me at a young age kind of trying to benefit from pretty girl privilege. And she pulled me to the side and was like, let me tell you something. You know, you need more than just your looks to get ahead in life. And I think she, you know, I still remember that. And I was, 8 or 9 when she told me that. And I do think that, like, it's kind of problematic when you depend so heavily on it.
Right.
Whereas, like, you know, that beauty phase kind of.
Let me ask you a question. I know Maya had to say something. Here's a real question, because I put this on the chat room, the garden, and I said, you know, you ladies are all pretty. Do y'all really have the right to talk about the struggles of people who are never been considered pretty? Because y'all are pretty, so y'all actually benefit, whether you like it or not. Y'all do benefit. Even me having you on the panel right now is because you're pretty, but you happen to be brilliant and fearless. So my question to you, and we're gonna go down this rabbit hole. I hope everybody's ready for this question. Was there any point in your life that you felt that you were not pretty? And how did that make you feel? And what were the struggles that you had to deal with that you can say, you know what, I get it. I get what you go through. You know, I don't go through it now, but I get it. To add validity to your comments. So can you give us experience that or a moment in your life where you felt you weren't pretty and benefited from it? Now I'm going back down. Thank you very much.
I can speak on this. I think one thing is we get that concept of pretty from a very young age. So someone has pressed that upon us, has told us. Like my mother used to tell me all the time, pretty is as pretty does. So in my head at a very young age, and she even said certain things to me that shouldn't have been said to me as far as my skin color goes and things like that, because she was a more melanated woman. And most of the women in my family are very melanated. And so there were certain things that she would say as far as, you know, I knew that you would be able to get this and get that because of your complexion. And so I think that's something that I was able to understand at a young, not really understand. And then, like, I have daughters. One of my daughters is closer to my complexion. My other daughter is a little bit more melanated. And so I saw the differences that happen even with them. Some of the things that people will actually say to you out in public that you're like, why are you saying these things? But I think that for me, I never thought that I wasn't pretty or beautiful. It was more of I had other issues. So maybe I had like weight issues and things like that. So that would be a contributing factor. And then people would say certain things to you. You know, kids will say, they'll tell you if you're fat. They'll tell you if you're
Kids are horrible.
Right. They'll tell you
Kids are brutal.
So that was something I struggled with. I struggled with my weight when I was younger. So that was something that was a contributing factor to how I felt about myself, but I never felt that I was ugly. So it's something that I think that it's one side of it, because just because you're overweight doesn't mean that you're ugly. And it still comes with you still have certain privileges because you are still seen to have a pretty face. And so, you know, you still, like, I've never had an issue, you know, getting a guy. So it's always, you know, it comes with that. And then usually it's amplified by other women. It's never really amplified by men. It's usually amplified by other girls or other women who kind of make you feel less than, and making you feel like you need to pay attention to certain things about you.
That's right. Mm-hmm.
I would say when I was younger. Listen here, okay? I had a big ass forehead, still do, but you can't tell me nothing now, okay? I got the same forehead that I had when I was younger. But but what happens is that there are certain things that are pointed out when we're young, and we kind of stay focused on those things. I've never been the girl that had a problem having a boyfriend, or somebody not being a child. I haven't been in that category, right? I know I come from a predominantly Black community. Someone asked where I'm from. I am from St. Thomas, U.S. Virgin Islands, which is, Jen, that's your neighbor. I know we're neighbors in that sense. But yes, it's just predominantly Black, right? And so we do have the hierarchy. So, somebody might find someone who is lighter, more attractive. But here's the thing about caramel people like myself, right? We don't really relate to either. So we get to really take a very neutral position on it. When you're sort of in the middle, Tawana, I don't know if you would be able to relate. We don't get the comments, you look beautiful for a dark-skinned girl, or you must,
I hate that compliment. Or I hate, you're pretty for Latina. You're pretty for a dark-skinned girl. You're pretty, or she's pretty for a girl. It's like, pretty's pretty.
Right.
Like that always offended me, because even amongst Latinos, same things, like, oh, well, well, you're light. And that's why I used to tan like crazy, because I wasn't Mexican enough for the Mexicans. So, like, I don't even want to pull up pictures from 10 years ago. I was Jersey Shore dark, because I just felt like the need to prove, like, like to other people, like, this is me. Like, yeah, I can fit in with you guys. And I'm just like, I don't care no more. But
yeah, I mean, our communities communicate to us what is considered acceptable, what's considered desirable. We get these messages really, really early. For example, well, I'm not going to go off on a tangent here, but anyway, I'm going to reel myself in. I'm going to speak to King's question, which is, yes, when I was younger, yes, I struggled with certain things about myself. But the woman I am today, you can't bring that in my space. And in fact, you can't even bring it in the space of the woman around me, right? Mm-hmm. Because I don't play that. Because in my head, I'm just like, look, if this woman here has what it takes and she qualifies in other areas, I don't care if she has one nostril. Okay, if this is the person that can do the job the best, then we need to put them in that position. Period. Mm-hmm. Period. But that's me. You get what I'm saying? But no, when I was younger, yes. As I got older, no. What I do get as I'm older is I have had this since moving to the States. I know that I am very intelligent, and I also know that I have big energy. I'm very aware of myself. And so what happens is when I would meet guys, mainly Black American guys, they would say things like, well, you're different, right? And so what I would have to do, again, using your privilege to address and check certain things, is I would have to say, that is not a compliment. Because what they're saying to me is like, oh, you different. And so you're better because you're not from here. You're not like Black American women. So that's what I've dealt with in the States, mostly, right? And I've had to check it, because to me, I'm like, that's not a compliment to me, because I stand in solidarity with women, specifically my sisters. You can't come to me and tell me a Black American woman is below me simply because you see me as so-called exotic, or an exotic meaning different. I'm from a different place. I have an accent. That's what I've dealt with. But growing up, no. I mean, listen, I had all sorts of things going on. I still have the high cheekbones. I had a big old forehead. The only thing I didn't have was braces, which I wish I had, because, And so, like now I'd be like, my mama shoulda, woulda, coulda. But I'm just saying that as an adult, I don't deal with it. But as a child, yes, King, I did. It was a very brief moment, but nonetheless, it happened.
Whew, man, I mean, seriously, as a child, I was called Bucktooth because I had braces when I went to high school. But before that, I was Bucktooth. I was Olive, from Popeye the Sailor Man, because I was skinny. Oh my God, I had some terrible names. And even though I did still get attention from guys, I still was insecure because of those names that I was called. And so people thought that I was okay because they considered me pretty. But to me, inside, I didn't feel that way. Right. And then when I got to college, it was like, oh, my friends were lighter than me. They were much lighter than me. And they got more attention than I did. And the men liked them more. And even though in my community, I'm considered light, I'm not dark, but I'm not light skinned, right? I'm like caramel, right? But in college, that was my first time being exposed to like women of different nationalities. Like I live in a predominantly Black neighborhood in Chicago. If everybody know how Chicago is, it's redlined. If you live in a Black neighborhood, everybody Black. If you live in Hispanic neighborhood, everybody Hispanic. That's just how it is. And you might have a trickle of one or two of other races, but it's not a lot of mixing here because it was heavily redlined in Chicago. So when I went to college, I was exposed to, I had white friends, I had Hispanic friends, I had every type of friend, and I was never the prettiest one in the crew. Like to the men, I'm not saying, so I always felt like that the colorism thing was like real. Like, I wasn't considered as pretty, because I wasn't this color or that color, And so it's interesting when people be like, you're so beautiful at things. I always think like, I don't know. I didn't feel that way a lot until I got older, like Hanifa said. And now it's like, you can't tell me that I'm not the shit. So I'll be like, whatever. Like, I don't care who else in the room. I know what I bring to the table. I know who I am. I know the woman I am. But when you're not sure about who you are, those comments can really bring you down and can make you insecure, even when everybody else thinks that you're beautiful and they think you're crazy for even having those insecurities. It's easy to be, especially when you're considered beautiful, you're always compared to everyone else constantly. Like I don't mean to say it like it's such a horrible thing, but it can be when you're constantly compared to everybody that you like. Who's the prettiest girl in the crew? Like, okay, Tawana number 5. It's 3 other girls in front of her. Like, it can be tough on you to be constantly compared to other people as well. So now it's like, yeah, whatever. I think they all. I agree with them. Like, yeah, she fine too. We all fine. That's what it is. So, I mean, I think there was moments in my life, in my past, when I wasn't sure about who I was as a woman, where I felt insecure about it, especially before I got braces, because I was Bucktooth. So I would be like, yeah, I was actually. And I'll show y'all some pictures like, nah, that's not you. Like, for real. That was me. So, yeah, there was moments for sure. That was a good question, King.
Yeah, same. I mean, puberty just sucked. I mean, being skinny little thing, and I had my feet grew in before anything else did. So I'd get called Lola Bunny. So mind you, I've been the same height since I was 12. So I've been 5'1" since I was 12. No. So my feet came in first, then my height. And even then, one of my friends still tries to comment to this day, and I'm like, boy, you better not. But it's just like those things I'd be self-conscious about, like dumb stuff like that, my feet. And then same thing, I had acne, and people be like, oh, you're pretty even though you have bad skin. It's like, can you not give me a backhanded compliment? Because then I'd always be like with my hair like this all the time, or hiding behind, finding things to hide behind. And I just hate how like nobody's safe. Like we're all 10s here, and somebody has had something to say somewhere down the line about us. And it's usually a male projecting his insecurity because he wants you, but he knows he doesn't have a chance. So he's going to try to bring you down and have you think you're a 7 when you're really a fucking 10. Sorry if I curse, but it's like, it's one of those things where, I mean, again, I'm not trying to sit here and blame men for everything because at the end of the day, we all got a mama. We all have women around us. I feel like we're kind of still in charge of like instilling values into like the next generation, your friends, your family, whatever. So if I at this point, yes, I'll be happy to have a kid, but I kind of hope I don't have a girl for that reason, because I'm like, how do I raise her to be confident, but not known as a bitch because she's like too confident and too strong, too headstrong or whatever, because apparently that's also seen as a negative. Like, what was that old movie, 10 Things I Hate About You? Julia Stiles was like, oh, I didn't know you were pretty because I think you're a bitch. It's just like, it was so dumb, but that's like basic, like, I mean, I hope it doesn't happen as much in adult life, but like growing up, it's like, that was kind of like the standard. It's like, if you already knew who you were and you were confident, it was also seen as a negative. Mm-hmm. So again, I grew up kind of having to like dim my light, keep my mouth shut, keep my opinions to myself. And then later on, it's like, oh, I didn't know you knew about that. I didn't know you were intelligent. I didn't know you felt so strongly about certain things. I thought all girls just did cheerleading and played with makeup. It's like, no, we're not stupid.
Mm-hmm. Jen, we didn't hear from you, did we?
Sorry.
I've never felt ugly. Let me tell you something. Piggybacking off of what all the women on the panel said, Monique, and then the comment that King just put up, little girls, take care of your little girls, because it takes women a long time to get to the point where we are now.
Yeah,
and
you can't tell me nothing now.
We go through a lot of pain in between. And I think with me, I don't know, speaking for me, it's a daily thing. Like, one day I'll feel gorgeous, like can't nobody tell me nothing. And the next day I'm like, oh my God, I'm looking in the mirror and I'm like, my hair texture and why are my eyes so big? And, so it's like, to me, it's a struggle. It's not like, oh, one day I know how to do my makeup. Now I'm the prettiest girl in the room forever. Especially because beauty standards change every decade. Every day they're telling us, oh, guess what? We don't want the six pack anymore. We want the gut. Guess what? We don't want the gut anymore. Fat ass. Not the big fat ass, but now we like the tiny nose. So
none makes any sense. Yeah, because that's
the berry haircut is in. So then you go chop off your hair. Too late. We like the long hair. So it's like women are constantly being pushed and pulled to and fro. So I think you have to be really, sounds corny, but you have to be really 100% confident from within. And then that way, no matter what fads, happen, no matter what a man wants, no matter what that girl is trying to say or do to put you down, you'll always be good. The ugliest I felt probably was, because I'm in between, like you ladies mentioned, I'm in between. Like, my father is a melanated Puerto Rican man. My mother is what I call a white Tina. She's very Spaniard. So I'm like, I'm the mixed kid in between. So you are too light for the dark side of the family, and you are too dark for the white side of the family, et cetera, et cetera. So it's like, okay, I got to find my own lane. My hair texture is not the same as my mother's side of the family, So one time my mother chopped my hair off, because what does she know how to do with, this type of hair? Chop my hair off. She was like, no, it's not a problem. Yay. And sent me to school, right? Where all the girls have long hair. So now I'm standing there, you know what I mean? In elementary school, no boobs, no butt, and an afro. Thank you. I mean, to the point where people are like, are you a girl or a boy? And back then I was bad too. I was like, fuck you. You know what I mean? But it's like, so, and then you grow up and you learn to love yourself, but you go through hell and back to get there. And then you learn how to do your makeup. You learn how to do your own hair because your mother didn't know how to do it. And you seek other people that you relate to. But I think I don't think men realize, or even women that think you're better than them because you look a certain way. Like, we go through hell and back. Yeah, we can take advantage of this pretty privilege thing, but it's a daily occurrence where you're kind of like, am I good enough? Do I look good enough for this situation? Because, being pretty or attractive or mainstream attractive is literally like having a superpower, and you can be a superhero or a villain with it. You can go either way. I also say being attractive is like being wealthy. You don't know if people want to be around you because of what you look like. It's also a commodity. You know what I mean? You don't know if people are using you. There are things that we go through. There are men that just want to sleep with us because we're attractive. Yeah, the guy in the corporate office may want to promote you, but he's going to be hounding you to sleep with you. So it's not as easy as people think. If I walk in and let's say someone who's not mainstream pretty, Whoopi Goldberg, let's say, shout out to Whoopi. I'm just saying, between her and I would be considered the more attractive one. I'm a writer. When I present my projects to producers, I'm already like, I have to wear a turtleneck or my Adidas suit and a baseball cap, because if I do not, he will not listen to anything I'm saying.
Right.
Where Whoopi will
I'm
walk
glad you said that.
Whoopi will walk in and they're going to take all her paperwork and be like, sit down, Whoopi. We'd love to hear what you got to say. So it is a hurdle. It's not a cakewalk by any means. It's not a cakewalk. It's like,
especially when you don't want that attention. You know, when you want to be taken seriously, it's really annoying when somebody don't take, or when you get to the meeting and realize it's because you're pretty, and you like,
and that's why
like, really, I really need this job for real. Like, I don't want to, you know.
Right.
Like,
And that's what I was saying, that it could be problematic on either end, right?
Yeah.
And so that's why, you know, I am more big on, okay, making sure that we checking it kind of within ourselves, because no one wants to be only known for a pretty face, right? And they have intelligence, they have talent, they have all of these other things. And you enter the room and it's like, well, you could just sit there and look pretty. Just sit there in the corner. We don't really need to know what you got to say, because we don't really think you have anything intelligent to say, right? Because when people say, oh, wow, beauty and brains, almost like in shock, like, oh my gosh.
And they think it's a compliment.
Right. And like, as if these...
It's like, heaven forbid, yeah, I was born with a brain. Like,
right. As if these two things can, as if these two things are opposites. As if these two things cannot exist in the same space. It's an insult, right? Yeah. When people say, oh, you got beauty and brains, we should take that as that's not a compliment, right? Here's one of the two things that I want to speak to what King said about children. So my last thing with that is this. I'm fine on owning your privilege, your pretty privilege, not allowing people to use it, and you are not even benefiting from, I mean, you know, you're not owning it. However, I am totally not for you have utilized your beauty privilege all of your life, and you finally get to a place where it doesn't really work anymore for you, and so you want to now be considered for, you know, your talents, and you know, you never spoke up before. There was no issue before, right? So my approach usually to that is like, man, listen, heifer, cry me a river. Cry me a whole river, okay? Like, that's how I really feel about that. And so the other thing I wanted to speak to with King as far as children, I have sons. I'm a boy mom. I have 2 boys, okay? Nice. Let me just be clear. My belief is that women are the first gods and the first teachers of children. Why do I say that? We carry them, right? Children don't know anything about the concept of God. We are feeding them. We are clothing them. We are doing everything that we understand the Creator to do. So they see us as that. Then secondly, we're the first teachers. And so therefore, in my home, I get to decide what images enter my home and what do not. If you enter my home right now, every single wall in my living room is covered with images of beautiful Black women. Art that I have bought from different people. Why? Because I understand the power of imagery in a child's life. I understand how the brain functions. I understand the subconscious mind, right? You got things in your subconscious mind right now from the time you were 5 years old, Monique, okay? We talk about them right now. You know what I mean? And you carry them through life with you, and they impact our behavior and how we navigate the world that we exist in. And because I understand the power of the brain, and I understand the power of the subconscious mind and how important imagery is, it's not enough for me, my sons, to just see me as a Black woman. It's important for them to see me celebrating the beauty of Black women, right? Why? Because television shows them something else. And so for me, it is important. People talk about programming. It is important that I program them. I see programming as preparing them for the world that they are going to face. Because when we talk about standards, the women that look like them are not on the top of the hierarchy. But I still need them to understand that this woman, the woman that look like your mama, maybe not with the bald head, they might have some hair, okay? But the woman that look like your mom is also beautiful, right? Because we got to think about how we define beauty and how do we inherit these biases, right? We're talking about undoing it, Monique, right? That's how we undo it. We start with our children.
Yep, exactly.
Get on to them. We don't tell them that, you know what? You know how people say, you know, well, you know, you don't want to have a child with that one because what them babies gonna come out looking like. right?
Yeah, and that is a horrible thing for anybody
We
to
don't
say.
get to the hospital and check the back of their baby's ears because somehow we've equated. Oh, you guys don't know about that.
I was like,
Well,
no,
the darker the ear.
black people, most babies are born on the lighter side for the most
Right.
part. So a lot of black people, and so when I see you shaking head, you know what I'm talking about. They check the ears because the ears is where the color happens first.
Oh, okay.
So not passing it on when I say that is to say, no, I will not check the ears of my grandchildren because I intend to be a dope ass elder. I don't know about nobody else. I intend to be a dope grandparent. So for me, that's how to answer King's question. It starts with us. It starts with the family unit.
Yep.
No one should have more access to your child's brain than you, and they're leaving your house every day. And so the imagery in your home is very important. So for me, if you're a Latina and you want to teach your child positive self-image.
Yep.
Right? Why in the world you got what's the lady name that sang Happy Birthday to the President?
Marilyn Monroe?
Yeah, why the hell you have Marilyn Monroe pictures and all kind of other people pictures in your house? Your child needs to know they are Latina and they need to be proud of that. So you need to surround them with those images, surround them with those programming. So that's just one way, one example in how we can actually teach our children. Children learn more by what we don't say than what we say to them.
Yep.
I like to piggyback off of that.
We started on Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah.
But no, that's awesome though that you do that. 'Cause that's what my parents did. And I guess I've dated every type of guy. Like I always say, I really don't care what, because I hate when guys will say, oh, you date this kind of guy or this and this and that. I just date the person. Like, as lame as that sounds, as, general as that sounds, like, I really do just date you for who the heck you are. And I have 2 nieces. They're both mixed. My parents they just said, I just want them to be healthy. We love the dad. Like, cool, whatever. Now we have cool in-laws. Like, we don't care. It's like, as long as you just make it a point to just date to raise dope humans, it's like, what's the problem? So that's awesome that you're already doing that from a early age. Just like, look, like, love yourself and just love others.
I think, just to kind of piggyback off of what Hanifa was saying, because I think we have a tendency in our community to have a lot of us not value what we look like. So just like Hanifa, I do a lot of that. I'm very careful of what my children watch on TV. I'm very careful. It was what was his name? I think it was Dick Gregory, and he talked about how at a very young age, as soon as they're infants, they see the baby food and they see the little white baby on the baby food. So already in their subconscious, they're already seeing these white images, and they're already kind of getting that hierarchy where these white babies are on the baby food, so there should be better. It's just like that, the little what was it, the brown versus board doll test that they had, where the babies, you give the baby and then they identify with that darker baby, but then they're saying all of these negative things about the darker baby. So that's something that I definitely do with my kids. I have 2 boys, I have 2 girls. And so the way that my standard of beauty was, it was always, because everyone in my family was deeply, my grandmother, beautiful chocolate skin. That was my standard of beauty. That's what I saw beauty as. And so that is, so when I would go to other places and they would say something else or say something different, I just thought that was odd, because that's what I saw as beauty. I saw darker, very melanated women as beautiful. And so that's something that I'm very mindful of, because when my daughter, especially my oldest daughter, who looks more like her dad, started going to school, there were certain things that were being said about her by, little white girls saying, and the same thing that happened to me, but I went to a predominantly, in elementary school, I went to a predominantly white school. but she was going kind of to a mixed school. But you know, they were saying certain things about her skin color and stuff like that. So you know, it's something that we have to be very mindful of, because we end up having a complex. And kind of what we even something that we kind of discussed on the last show was that whole concept of, when it comes to interracial dating in our community, sometimes it's seen as different as opposed to someone else who's interracial dating, because we have that deep kind of seated thing that happens in our community where we might not value our skin, so we're looking for something that's better. And I mean, I don't want to go deep into that. We can save that for the after show, but that deep seated kind of devaluing of ourselves, because we see so many images of others from a very as soon as they're born. So we see the images on TV, we see the images on the billboards, we see the images. I mean, even when you see like movies and it's the end of the world, where are all the Black people at? So it's just all
We did already.
right, right.
That's right. It's a movie in Hollywood.
We die so quick in those movies, Lord.
Right.
And I hate that it's become a joke now. Like, he's like, I made it to the end, and it's like, why is it a joke?
Well, I do have a daughter. I have 2 daughters now, and I have a son. And I'm just happy that I had my daughter at the age that I had her, because I'm so confident in who I am. And when I had her, I was, because no matter what I do, my daughter always emulates me. I don't care what happens. If I think I'm beautiful, my daughter's gonna believe she's beautiful. If I don't believe I'm beautiful, and I reinforce those ideologies, my daughter's gonna believe the same thing. And even when I was growing up, I had a cousin who was much darker than me, and her mom would always say that I was prettier because I was lighter. And she would say that in front of my cousin, my aunt. She would say that in front of my cousin, like, you know, Tawana's prettier than you because her hair is longer, she's lighter and stuff like that. And so I always, because my daughter is much lighter than me, which I don't know why they're so light, because I'm like, you know, I was wondering if they daddy was gonna be like, these my kids, or who kids are these, right? Because my kids came out much lighter than both of us. And we were like, okay, but I always like want my daughter to know that she's beautiful, not because of her skin tone, just because of who she is. She's intelligent. She has so many beautiful things about her. And I told my kids that I reinforce that. And I also want her to know that she's Black, because when she goes to school, they say, because she's light, they'll be like, well, are you Black? They'll ask her, is she Black? Or, you know, what is her nationality? I'm like, you're Black, you're beautiful. You're not beautiful just because you're Black, though. You're beautiful because you have all these other attributes that people are going to recognize and see in you. And even when I get feedback from her teachers, they're like, she's the kindest person. She is the sweetest person. And these are the things that I tell her make her beautiful and make her who she is. And I think, like you said, it starts at the home, because regardless, my daughter, she's super confident. Like, she'll tell you right now, like, yeah, I think I'm pretty. Like, she'll tell you that because she emulates me and how I feel about myself and the energy that I have about. And I think my son is going to also look for those attributes in women. And it starts with how you treat your kids in your home. Like, I treat my son like he's a king in the making, right? I treat him exactly how I want him to be. I let him know that, you know, women shouldn't talk to you a certain way, or people shouldn't talk to you a certain way. And like, I reinforce that in my home. And I do the same thing with my daughter. So I think that, like you said, it starts in the home. It starts with the values that you feel that are important. And I love Hanifa saying, like, the pictures, the Black imagery, you know, all those things play a part in how they feel about themselves. I never want my kids to feel insecure because of their skin tone and because of what other people say beauty is supposed to be. I want them to value other things. So yes.
I wanna speak to that if I can. I'm huge on imagery. Believe it or not, I was a lot more militant than you even see me. I was really, really bad. Like I used to go to sleep to Farrakhan, I wake up to Farrakhan. Dr. Khalid Muhammad. I used to go to sleep. So I was bad, but I had to curb it because it was not so good for business, right? Because there is a hierarchy. With that said, I don't think that we've realized how important imagery is. We do it innocently, right? We've been having, speaking of, and I know I've said I wouldn't get into this, but it's so important and it's a perfect example. We've had Marilyn Monroe shoved down our throats since we were little girls, okay? And my thing is, you can be beautiful and be white. You can be beautiful and be black. You can be beautiful and be Latina. But the problem with the image of Marilyn Monroe is they made her beautiful because she was white. So my daughter from a young age started like, downloading her pictures and I was like, what the, you know what I'm saying? I was like, have you seen Rita Moreno? Have you seen Dorothy Dandridge? Have you seen Ruby Dee? Just because these women aren't on t-shirts doesn't mean that they weren't also iconic. Like every time I see a picture of Marilyn Monroe, I get nauseous. And I've gone into black hair salons. I've gone into Dominican hair salons, and that heifer is on the wall. And every time I walk in and see her face, like I just cringe because she is like the standard for no other reason than they made her that way because she wasn't an accomplished woman. Let's face it, she was an actress who was a pretty decent side chick from what we've heard in history. And yet our daughters are made to idolize this woman. She's on t-shirts. I personally got Rita Moreno printed on t-shirts so that I can wear.
Gorgeous.
So things that you
gorgeous.
It's little things that you think are harmless that are not, that are detrimental to the growth of a black or brown child. If I walk in, I have my grandson is 5, my daughter's 29. Gorgeous, by the way. But my grandson is 5. Brown, beautiful boy. If I walk in the living room and he's watching a cartoon and there's nothing but white images in that cartoon, I change the channel and I tell my daughter, don't let him sit here and watch this. If I get him a puzzle, there's a brown child on it. If I get him a toy, there's a brown child on it. Like it's little things that you think are innocent that, it won't affect them. But it's like, I don't know if it was Hanifa or Mahat that said the babies on the Gerber bottle or the Similac. Like all of that affects your child. They're constantly being fed. Like you don't exist here. With the white people who are on the water, the white people are on, the baby food, the white people are on in the Target commercial, and it's getting better, but it's moving like molasses, right? We're being represented, but it's like molasses. White people are still the norm. White people are still the mainstream. So I like what Hanifa said. No one should have more access to your child's brain than you do. But as far as imagery, I'm very, very strict about that in my house. There is no Marilyn Monroe here. There's no reason for her to be on my wall, in my phone, on my t-shirt at all. And that's not to say that she wasn't a beautiful woman. That is not what I'm saying. But they made her beautiful because she's white.
And what's random is she still fell to that because she wasn't even a blonde. She didn't even look like that. They still put her through the production cycle of getting her nose done, bleaching her hair blonde. Like she was cute. And they still had to make her their standard of white beauty still. That's why, when you're talking about how it's shoved down our throats, why do you think we were excited when J-Lo blew up? And again, I hate that the media demonizes her. It's like, oh, she's a hoe, she's a hussy because she's got multiple dudes or a new boyfriend all the time. But yet we see all these other, Caucasian actresses, one boyfriend to another, whatever. Nobody says shit about that.
And the people who don't have access to the part of pretty privilege that is accessible. What am I talking about? They cannot afford the surgeries. Okay. What's the little one for the Kardashians' name? What's the little one?
The littlest one?
Yeah, the littlest one.
Kylie.
The one that wasn't that cute yesterday, but today.
Right.
Okay. Let's be clear.
Yep.
Yeah, let's be clear. So a lot of people can't afford that access to what we would consider pretty privilege, right? So there are people who can afford it. In fact, people are risking their lives to have access to the resources and the favors and the rewards that come with pretty privilege. And that's why I can't nonchalantly talk about it, because there is a detriment there's a detrimental part of privilege, and it may not be
It
just
is.
to the people who are benefiting from it, but also to the people who do not have access to it. Why? Because they do not fit this very narrow definition of what beautiful is, right? So I just wanted to throw that in there, that there are people who are out there buying, right, the pretty privilege pass and like Jen said, beauty evolves. It changes so much, right? So today you go and you get those injections in your ass, okay? And then next year the standard change, and here you are with cement in your butt walking around.
Exactly. I've always saying that. You're not ugly, you're just broke.
Right. So and I'm glad you jumped into that, because I was going to ask a question, so I jumped on stage. And I got my green tea today. It's not I don't have peppermint tea, I have green tea today.
Nice.
And I wanted to ask this question, especially to Monique, because she is a makeup artist, right? And you women understand. And basically what Hanifa said, because of cosmetic surgery and makeup, is there really something as pretty privilege? Is there anything?
Yeah, because honestly,
hold on. Are there any more naturally pretty women out there as celebrities, besides the girls on the panel, the ladies on the panel? Are there any more naturally pretty women in this world, and can you name them? And is cosmetic surgery and makeup changing the game and giving the pass that Hanifa was talking about?
It's few and far between now, as if we're talking natural beauty. And it's so sad that I get excited when I get a girl in my chair and I can tell those are her actual lips that she was born with. I can tell that, her face doesn't have fake cheekbones and all that crazy stuff. Like, I'm actually excited, and I always make it a point to really reinforce it. Like, you're so naturally pretty. Don't touch yourself. You look amazing. Everything's a trend. Like, because I tell her, go back in my 20s, the look was like Pam Anderson, like skinny, huge fake boobs. But most of my girlfriends who had big old double Ds back in the day, by the time we got to our 30s, went into professional lives, college, worked, real jobs, they all took them down because they're like, I feel ridiculous. Like, I feel like I look like a porn star secretary now in an office with these giant, implants. So that's why I keep trying to reinforce, especially when I get a young girl in my chair. I'm like, look, like, beauty is subjective. Beauty, it's the same thing with fashion. Everything is cyclical. Like, every 10 to 20 years, the same trend comes back around. I mean, all of us already are seeing little girls in their teens and 20s wearing the stuff we wore in high school, but they're trying to call it something new. But, it's like everything comes back. So on that, it's really rare to see a natural girl. And I mean, with makeup, I don't knock anybody for that, because I myself, I'm guilty of that. Like, right now, I have my nose, everything contoured, highlighted, everything to make my nose look more narrow. My lips are overlined to make my lips look bigger. But this has always been my preferred look, because my dad has like bigger, pretty full lips. And I'm like, how come I didn't get your lips? I look just like you, but I didn't get that, So it's just, everybody's got their little insecurities. And that's why I don't knock women for doing their makeup to alter their appearance, slightly. Because at the end of the day, my main thing, my friends make fun of me. Like, I do marathons, Spartan runs. I'll still do it wearing lashes. But it's because if I don't feel like, myself, I'm not going to get shit done. Like, if I feel pretty, it's like, if you feel confident about yourself, whether it's getting your nails done, hair done, whatever, a certain outfit, accessories, you're going to walk in somewhere and with more just in your step, you're more determined, you're more excited to just kill things or whatever, because you're just this confidence and whatever it is, whether it's just whatever your routine is, your ritual. But like I said, makeup, I don't knock that. I remember when I saw Jen, I was like, oh, hell yeah. Like, I'm going to have fun with your features. And I had fun beating your face. Like, that was so much fun.
You guys know the story of the Asian guy. Here's the issue with buying access or buying the pretty privilege pass. Y'all know that Asian guy that sued the wife, right? Because
yes.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to laugh, but that's the challenge, is that you guys, when we have these stand and everybody's trying to get at it, right? People are out here being catfished, like straight up catfished, and then their children are coming out looking like, is this really my child? And no, yes, that is your child. That in her face, that in your wife's face.
Exactly.
But that's your child. You know what I'm saying?
Kardashian's kids don't look like them.
Right, or genetics. It could come from the grandmama or something like that. So that's what I'm saying. It could be so tricky. This idea of, yeah. And then also too, there's the I think King was
Natural beauty, natural beauty. I'm looking for
natural
an
beauty.
example of natural beauty that
Yeah.
every woman on this panel can agree with. Like
I don't think
who is naturally beautiful? Because Lucky said something very important. She said beauty is not subjective, and I've been hearing that beauty is subjective all my life. So
See,
beauty is not. Explain that to me. Where did she come with that?
my personal belief isn't that, but at the end of the day, it's just like every other bias. Unfortunately, we've all talked about it, whether it's skin tone or anything else, because somewhere outside of, our personal self, our family, or whatever, it's dictated by something outside of us. And I'm not saying it's right at all, but it's one of those things where people have to and I'm glad, all these women have said it, them as mothers, they know that they're responsible now for, on top of, it goes just in the same book as teaching your kid just to be a good person and just be accepting and loving and just, at the end of the day, we're all human. And that's where people, hopefully our generation kind of starts that.
Well, when I think of natural beauty, I'll name a few Black women who I think maybe like Sanaa Lathan or Ashanti or even Angela Bassett. I think that some of those women, they wear makeup, don't get me wrong, but they also have a natural look about them and a natural glow. And you can tell that they haven't had as much cosmetic transformations with
Angela Bassett has.
Okay, yeah.
See?
I mean, listen, if I had some money, I ain't gonna judge them. But
Angela Bassett did? I didn't know that.
Me neither.
For a while, she was looking really good, but now she's starting to get those tweaks done, and now she's kind of looking different.
Look, she had a picture, Mary J. Blige. They had some pictures. I was like, is she 60? I mean, I couldn't believe it. Toni Braxton. I mean, I think when you look back to see, and I'm telling my age because I'm naming people that y'all probably wait. But I feel like when you look back in the 90s, that was more of the trend. Mm-hmm. But now when you look at the new millennials and you look at, the way people look now, it's glam. It's full face glam, all this makeup, hair down your back, all of this fancy, that is the preferred look, right? And that is what men are attracted to, even though they say they like the natural woman. They want the eyelashes like this, and that's the women that you see them walking with, and they make fun of it, but you see them literally have these women on their arms and walking with the woman that's all glammed up, all weaved down her back, and the natural women sitting there looking crazy. So that's why the women do it now in this day and age. But I see those beautiful, timeless women like Holly and, those women who just still beautiful to this day. And you see them and they still look like they did in Boomerang and all those other movies that came out back then. So
I wouldn't even credit Halle. I wouldn't even credit Halle. She's beautiful, but after surgery. So if we're talking
she has some surgery. Well, Botox. It was just Botox, right? I feel like they said she didn't have surgery. She had Botox. I mean,
she had a nose job too.
The what?
Yeah, they all do it. They do it little by little, so you don't know.
Little by little, yeah.
A little at a time.
So they told me because I still think they look good, and I still think they look natural. I think you can tell when it's tastefully done, right? You can tell when it's too much, and when it's just what's that, Black China or. Ooh, some of them
little Kim, was so cute to begin with.
You can tell when it doesn't look natural. It doesn't if you try to look more natural with your own features, I could get it. You're enhancing, like you said, with makeup and things like that. Sometimes it's just an enhancement. But when you try to do a total reconstruction with makeup and you fool somebody to the point where they want to sue you, that's really interesting. I don't, some of those transformations I see, I'm like, I can't believe that it's the previous woman.
Because ladies, we don't have that problem. It's not like we meet a dude and we're like, oh, you're hot, and then you find a picture of him before, and it's like, oh, you had all this work done. Like, men don't do that, so we don't really get catfish, not catfished, you know.
I
like
met a man. He made me.
Monique.
I met a man and he made me wipe my makeup off one time with my he was like, I want to see you wipe, and I was so offended.
I have no problem.
I did it because I was so offended. I was like, what? Like,
on the chat,
I rock natural my face all the time. I mean, for these things, I put my face on, but my day to day, if you see my Instagram, you'll see me looking like a 15-year-old little boy half the time, and then boom, next shot, it's me. Bam, going to like an event.
I look like a boy. You never look like a boy.
Oh, you'll see me look like a little boy on my story every day.
On the chat, they're talking about little Kim, and I have 2 questions for you. One question I posted up is pretty privilege inversely proportional to age. So you lose your pretty privilege as you get older. Is that the case? And the second question is in regard to little Kim. Recently, a month ago, I believe 50 said something about how she looked. She did something with a leprechaun, and you know, I think Lil' Kim is still the queen of Brooklyn, and I dealt with 50 once or twice in my life. That's a different story, but he's an amazing dude and he's a thorough dude. But do you think that men have the right to judge a woman's beauty or prettiness?
They don't have the right, but they do. We all judge all the time. I'm not religious, so to me, judging is conducive to survival. So I'm judging all the time. I recommend people judge me as well. I'm not against judging. They can do whatever the hell they want, and we can decide whether or not we care, about how they judge us. Little Kim, it's sad, man. It pains me to see her because she was so no BS pretty prior to what she did to herself. She's one of the people where I can say you honestly did not need to carve an inch off your face. You were a very pretty girl, beautiful complexion. What she looks like now, it's sad. I feel like little Kim is no longer there. As far as the age thing, pretty privilege, it's gonna die as you get older, depending on what bracket you're trying to target, right? If you're not gonna pretty privilege if you're a 50-year-old woman, may not work with a 20-year-old guy, but it'll work with a 50-year-old guy. Right?
Then they start calling you a MILF or a cougar or some other thing instead of just beautiful because you're old. Or because even I have young kids be like, oh, you're hot for an older lady. And I'm like, you would know what to do with this woman. Shut up. It's like, I don't want to hear it.
Okay, I didn't really hear. Is your question, are you saying should people in general judge, or did you say men? I didn't catch what you said.
Oh, it's just
You're
age.
on mute. You're on mute.
You're on mute, okay.
Sorry, I'm still getting used to this YouTube thing. But I always thought that pretty privilege, like most things that women talk about, was created by women. Like a lot of times, women judge women, and women judge women more than men do. Right? I'm just going by my observation. Please don't beat me up.
That's both genders. Like men judge men more than we.
Right. So what happens is, do we as men have the right to judge? Do we set the standards for pretty privilege? Do we set the bar for pretty privilege?
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Because you guys are the gatekeepers to the access. You guys are the gatekeeper to the resources, to the rewards. You men, why? Because we live in a male-dominated society. Let's be real. You guys, Jen just gave an example in the beginning where she was like, okay, if this person, you get it. I think she was talking like if the executive decide we're gonna let Jen in the door, but I want to promote Jen, but here's what Jen is going to have to do. That is a gatekeeper. That is a gatekeeper. Right. That is someone who you have to go through. And so, yes, it is men. It is all crusty, wrinkled white men who are setting the standard for beauty, and we are letting them. So the answer to that is yes. I know. I don't mean to sound so cruel.
Yeah, because women judge other women based on the beauty standards men have set. So when a man is showing you more attention, or when they see a woman benefiting from whatever the man is offering, they automatically attribute that to, okay, they believe she's beautiful, she's prettier, right? And then so women are detail oriented, so we start looking at hair and facial features and everything. So we like, okay, she got longer hair, so that's why they think she's pretty, or her eyes are this color. So we are more detailed, but it doesn't mean that men don't judge us, because you guys do. You judge, and if a woman isn't as attractive, you guys are mean, or you could be very negative.
Yeah. You see how the universe works? You see how the universe works?
Yes.
It all still goes back to y'all.
It does.
Come on, Jen.
You guys set the standard for what is beautiful, and then women, we judge based on how attractive. Because I've never gotten pretty. So most of my privileges for being pretty come from men. I'm sorry. It's just like, no, and I know woman giving me nothing unless she want to get with me too. And I mean, that's has happened, but most of the time it's men giving me discounts, giving me things, buying me here, taking me there. That is where I got the privilege from.
Okay, so I got it wrong. I thought because women are competitive by nature. You are competitive, ladies. Ladies are competitive by nature. So I always thought
not competitive by nature.
I wouldn't feel okay. Look, if we're gonna go like back in history,
you're not
competition
because
that's not our nature. That's not our nature.
No, like if we're talking generations back, before corporations, jobs, actresses, all these things, like the pretty woman in the village, the tribe, the little city, whatever, got married first. Like, look at that Bridgerton show. The pretty sister got picked. Like, it's like you're talking way back, like not even like talking about. It's just it's so that's, and then again, it's like, okay, so everybody in that little town now is like, well, why'd she get picked by the Duke? What is it about her? Oh, now you start styling your hair like that girl, or you start dressing like her, or start speaking like her, you know? So it's like, if you even want to go far back, so it's like, it's almost this messed up subconscious thing, because at the end of the day, we know that we want a family, we want kids, we want all the, the good life, whatever time period you're speaking of. We want the good life. So we're going to be in competition now with whatever the beauty standard is at that time. Yeah. And then that's why women become competitive by nature, because my circle's full of dope women. We're all very different. We're not in competition with each other.
No,
I've never and I think she's awesome and everything, but it's like, I'm not in competition with nobody but myself from yesterday.
Okay, you say that, right?
Okay, let me say something, because this is a fallacy. Women are not competitive by nature. Women are cooperative by nature. What happens is, to exist and to survive in these male-dominated spaces, women take on that nature. That is all that is. But really, we are not competitive by nature. In fact, if you do research around feminine and masculine traits, competition does not fall under a feminine trait. Nowhere that you go. They have done the research. So I just want to make that clear.
Okay, what I'm saying this, so get ready to get mad at me. Every time I deal with women, friends, lovers, sisters, cousins, they always say it's a woman that hates on them before men. They say women hate on women more than men hate on women. They say women are more territorial with their own than men are territorial. So you're telling me this is not by nature, but every incident I hear about a woman getting talked down upon or treated is because of another woman. So what's going on?
Y'all see, ladies, what we're causing? You see the confusion we're
I'm confused. What's going on?
No, honestly,
I just feel like, again, it goes into just not raising confident women, because it all falls back on insecurities. If anybody's jealous of any of us on the panel, it's because they see something in us that they want, or they feel like, hey, I'm like that too, but she's getting the attention, or she's getting praised for whatever it is. When at the end of the day, it's like, you just gotta be confident in your own right. But I mean, I can't tell somebody how to feel about themselves either.
That can start in your home.
Wait, King, I think it's time for my sign. Okay, and let me tell you why.
Yeah.
Because some women are like that, but the women you're talking about, in my opinion, sorry if this rock hits you, anybody who's listening who's not on the panel or even in the chat. I think you're talking about specifically women with low self-esteem, because you said territorial. I can be territorial with my man, right?
Well, yeah.
I see somebody threatening my situation with my man, but even then he has to check that. But I'm not competing against another woman for what I think is mine or what I thought was mine. I'm not going to do it. You and her can hit the road. So that I can't relate to that. I can't relate to, I always say, you know, beautiful women, I like being around beautiful women. I like being around intelligent women. They motivate me. You know, I love the women on the panel. This is the crowd I like to be around because it makes me feel stronger. I know that I can say something, I can have a strong opinion, and these women will handle it, and vice versa. So that's the atmosphere I like being in. So I'm not, you know, competitive. A lesser woman would be in this crowd and feel a ways. So it's some women, not all, right? I'm not competitive by nature. I've competed with men because you have to. You have to survive in the business that we're in. But I can't swallow that one. I can't swallow women are competitive by nature. Now, are there women that feel insecure when another woman walks in the room and she's going to badmouth her and say, she's not all that, or she's too skinny, or her feet a bit. Yeah, women will do that, but that's a woman who
Or she's pretty, she's a hoe right away.
Right. That's
You know her.
insecure.
I think my ad was trying to say something.
Wait, hold on. I'm sorry. What's wrong with being a hoe? We're gonna get back to after my speaks.
Yeah.
Oh no. Just talking about just in general that girls use that as like the only insult they could probably throw, because it's like you can't talk about her hair, you can't talk about her outfit, you can't. So it's like she must be a hoe then. You know, it's just like that's all that, like, because we're taught that again from, you know, most traditional families, you're supposed to be a good girl. You're not allowed to enjoy yourself like men are allowed to enjoy themselves. All of a sudden it's a bad thing.
King, you should be asking a man, because men coined that phrase.
I told you, I like women that are sexually liberated. I like wayward women.
I think women started picking and calling women hoes because of the patriarchy. If
right.
Women sleep around, they're hoes. If men sleep around, they're that dude. So
I like wayward women. Maya, go ahead.
No, I was just saying when it comes to the competition, I agree with the self-esteem, but that comes from, to me, that comes from childhood, because a lot of little girls are vying for the attention of their mothers or their fathers. So that competition is happening at a young age. I mean, I even see it with my own girls sometimes. They're vying for attention from me, and I have to make sure that they both understand that I love both of them equally. Now, every mother did not do that. There are some mothers who would pit their children against one another, who would pit their girls against one another. And so that is something that has passed on. So you get older and you're still in competition with women, and especially in our community, that women that look like you, because you want it was one of the actresses, I think it was Gabrielle Union. She said it when Kerry Washington got the role of Scandal, that it's not enough of us in Hollywood. You know, it's not enough of us. So we always feel like we're in competition with the other Black woman in Hollywood. So that started at a very young age.
Yeah. But you see that, I see all the time people pit Black women against each other, and I hate it. Like, for instance, like Rihanna and Beyonce. We can't like them both. We got to choose one. I'm like, I like her both. I like both of them. I think they both amazing artists.
Rihanna.
It's always got to be Black women like competing. Cardi B and Nicki Minaj. Like, we can't like them both. We have to choose one, and it does drive me insane when they do that, because I always feel like there's room for both. They both have something different that they bring, right, and you can like them both. And you can think they both beautiful, and you can support them both. Like, why Black women? Why? And we participate a lot, and that bothers me when we participate.
But so you know what?
I will answer, King, what you say truthfully. Right. And I literally have experienced being hated on by women most of my life, my entire life. Right. And I will agree with you on that. And I will say that not all women, I hope Jen can hold up her sign for me too, because I swear it's not all, because I have amazing friends and amazing women around me, and I have a solid foundation of women, but I've also had that experience where Just they just want to spread rumors. She's sleeping with this man and that man, and it's women who've done it. It's women who have done it to me, and I mean not even a particular race. I mean all types of different. So I have experienced that, and I won't deny that is a real thing. That competition is in their minds, because I may not be competing with you, but you competing with me, whether I'm competing or not. You believe there's a competition. You believe somebody has to win.
Just minding my business, staying in my lane.
I don't get it, because at the end of the day, and sometimes the more aggressive woman win, but maybe he not for you. So I think some women don't understand that. Yeah.
I'm just gonna get
hold on 1 second. I want to say one thing. I mean, actually, two things. Two, I want to tell you how amazing y'all women are doing today. This is actually the dopest, flyest panel ever, right? Better than me, Chef, Darrell, and E Black, right? This is dope. I will listen. We're going to continue this, but I wanted to say something. I put this particular show on subscribers only. So only subscribers who are subscribers for 5 minutes can come and make a comment. And you could tell how good you are, because the haters will wait that 5 minutes just to say something mean, right? And become subscribers. This is crazy. That's how good y'all are. The haters are waiting 5 minutes just to subscribe, just to hate. And I want to say thank you for that. And also,
we love our haters.
Because of algorithms and analytics, we are at approximately 88 likes. If you want these ladies to continue on, I need my 100. So give me 12 likes, figure it out. Or it's going to be quiet for 2 minutes, 5 minutes or 2. Y'all figure it out. We need a 12 likes. This is what we do for the algorithm. This is why I was able to get monetized in 5 weeks, because I put the pressure on it. Kevin said, no, what's his name again? The old guy that gives bad advice, but he's my frat brother, and I love him. But he does it. He makes people wait and get the likes up. And I need you to get the likes up. Give me 12 more likes, and we could go back to this conversation, please. Shout out to the lady attorney for giving us great advice the lead attorney, I'm sorry. Shout out to the lady attorney. I know Wanda like, why are you playing more? I came here for peace. Stop trying to. I like water. I'll be messing with you, Wanda. I'm joking.
While we're waiting.
No, my opinions are not the ladies on the panel's opinions. Trust me, I'm on my own lane. Everybody got their own thing. Please go follow On the Block with Jen, Juana, Hanifa. I am Monique. I am so mad at y'all because y'all need to have y'all page, especially like.
Hold up.
Hold up.
Okay,
I didn't have time, or else I would have.
Okay, no, King. Actually, I posted my first video today, and so.
I've been saying I'm going to do that forever, and I haven't. I have a podcast with my best friend, but I let her handle the whole thing because I always just say, I'm the creative. Like, I just show up, talk, and leave. Like, she's my friend.
We need every one of y'all. Honey, drop your page, please.
I'm trying to.
Sorry.
So it's my Hanifa Nayela. Is my YouTube page, and I just put up my first video today. It's more of an introduction of what my channel is going to be about. So go check it out, subscribe, like. I intend to post every week. It's more of like a page. Anyone that follows me on Instagram have an idea of how my mind works.
Right.
It's more about inspiration, encouragement, upliftment.
What is it again?
It is Hanifa Nayela.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I have like 20 something subscribers right now.
You're gonna have 21 right now because I did not know it. And also, Juana, we know you need to start your page immediately because I want to give you a fun fact.
Okay.
We were able to be monetized in 5 weeks, which is amazing for any YouTube channel. Literally 5 weeks it took my channel. The 2 highest views we ever got on our channel is because of Juana. This is a fact.
You are so cute. I love you.
This is a fact. It was one when you came the first time, and the other one you did with Jen. So when I tell you these women are stars, they are. I'm talking about they got 2,000 in 24 hours. Boom. This is a fact. It stopped after that though, so we got to talk about that. But 2,000.
I love King. He always like when I come in with like this much insecurity, he be like, girl, get rid of that. You know, you ain't got to be insecure about nothing. Like,
That's a fact.
I love it. I love it. I love it. You subscribe. Look, she subscribed. I just
subscribe right now myself. I just subscribe right now myself. Look.
That show with Jen was like one of the dopest
as soon as I saw it.
Yeah, everybody subscribe to another. But I want to say another thing too. I want to give a shout out to Mayat Speaks. Please, after the show, she's going to have the post game show for our show today. And I want everybody, when this show finished, and it's not going to finish anytime soon because I think we 8 more likes from 100. We need 8 or we need 3 more likes. When this show finished in approximately 30 minutes or hour, how long they want to go, we are all going to Mayette's page. And I expect you to go over there and make sure that you subscribe as well. This is what we're doing. I'm not going to wait till I get to 50 to 100,000 to, oh, there you go. Oh, yeah, she subscribed to, I already see, subscribe. So listen, you subscribe to their pages now. And by the next time we have this, we will all, like we did for Cheryl. Remember how all 40 of us went to Cheryl's interview? Or 1,000 of us are going to go to Wanda's page. Because we all know she brings the heat, period. And Monique, you know you have our support with anything you do.
Thank you.
I'm grateful for you in so many ways. Thank you for even showing up. With that being said, are we at 100? Are we at 100 right now? Yes, we are. Thank you so much. Now we can go back to the convo.
Yeah, like, that's my podcast with my best friend.
That's your page?
Yeah, Adulting in the Wild.
Please, Adulting in the Wild, please. Let's do this for everybody. Adulting in the Wild.
I always say I'm at that cutoff generational wise where like I just hated technology. So that's why even my best friend was like, you do this. I'll show up, I'll create the set, I'll talk, I'll finance stuff, but like
can you ladies do me a favor in the private chat? Can you drop the link, your channel link in the private chat so I could copy and paste it and put it on the screen? And like I said, we are going to support Wanda and whatever she does. She is the mother of this YouTube thing. Everybody know I don't like that place, that show, but it is the mother show because it gave a lot of people birth. The only person that didn't come from that show was Jen and Monique. But I came from that show. You know, my idols are my new rivals. I did come from that show, and the mother of that show, let no one ever tell you anything. Every show I say it is Wanda. Period. The original. So please go and support her. And on the block with Jen, I have a special thing for you. I gotta tell you offline. When we do this next show, you need to come with the heat because she did a crazy show with heavily flawed individuals. Super slide. Go and check out that show. She killed it. But please, if you got another one, you're gonna love the next interview she has. It's gonna be great. And I would love for everybody to go to my show right after this. I'm serious. I'm going there and I'm gonna sit in and I'm gonna listen. I try not to go on the after shows because it's about the people that's doing it. Period. And you know, Maya is gonna talk about, you know, I'm hoping and talk about Black imagery and how it plays into the pretty privilege. I'm hoping that she does that, right? With that being said, let's get back to the conversation. Let me give you an even harder, difficult question to answer. And the question is, if you had to choose between a smart daughter or a pretty daughter, and see, as simple as it might sound simple, because I'm going for a pretty daughter. I'm not gonna lie, because I've been ugly all my life. I've been ugly all my life. I'm not gonna lie to you. But what would you prefer? And don't front.
I'm gonna say it, and it's gonna sound ugly. The smart daughter can actually get the good grades, get the college degree, get the good job, and if she wants to be pretty, if she hasn't established she's very pretty in her own right, she can buy it. And then go on the pretty privilege train. So like I said, it's an ugly answer, but
it's your answer.
Ma, that boy don't like me. He don't want to take me to the prom. That's the conversation.
That would break my heart because I already hated high school as is. Because that would break my heart because boys suck.
He likes Jackie. He don't like me, mommy. What am I doing wrong? Go ahead, look at you. Look, see, the truth is coming out tonight.
It's so hard because it's like.
And I want to hear from my too, because what they say, pretty girls love pretty boys. Ski.
I'm not one to speak on that because I am notorious. I am a repeat offender for dating ugly dudes that are cool as hell.
Listen, my whole life, I specialize in dating women that have terrible taste in men. That's me.
I don't have terrible taste. I'd rather, it's like if you're spending time with somebody in hopes of building a life with them, it's like, wouldn't you rather spend your life with like a dope person that's on the same page as you or like honors and respects you as opposed to just, a hot idiot? Like, I can't date just a muscle that's just dumb. Like, I can't. I attempted. I really tried. I can't do it.
The big homies in here.
Like, you assuming that a pretty, so you separating like pretty women can't be smart too, right? So
no, I don't. No, don't try to switch it. I asked you. What do you prefer?
I'm trying to change the goalpost here. Okay, so
like I said, that was a hard answer. It sounds ugly.
I'm just gonna go with pretty. I'm gonna say why. I'm gonna say why I'm going with pretty. Because humans are people who judge you based on the physical. And it's just a fact. And regardless of, it's like racism. We can deny it, but it exists and it's here. Visual. And I know that regardless, she is going to be judged by how she looks. But I don't, if my daughter's ugly, she ugly. I don't care. I'm a lover. I'm gonna still teach her how to be confident. I'm gonna still teach her everything she needs to know. But like King said, if you have a choice, why would you choose that? This is why I would choose it. Because I feel like, in this world, I don't know if I have I think I'll be fighting everybody. You talking about my daughter? It's like I'm gonna be, I'm not gonna be present to be here to help her through life anyway. I'm gonna be in jail somewhere because I'm gonna attack everybody that mess with my baby. Right. So I don't know. It's a hard thing to if you had to choose. I'm just choosing it based on this shallow question. Okay, King, don't judge me, y'all. I'm sorry. I have nothing against, depending on the face. I didn't even define what pretty was. I'm just saying that if I had a choice, I guess that would.
Even growing up cute, I still got picked on all the time and bullied and had people want to kick my butt all the time and be mean to me or go out of their way to be mean. Yeah. And then I had people last week of high school apologizing with, I'm so sorry I was mean to you. You've always been really nice to me. This, and that. It's just my friends didn't like you because of X, Y, and Z. And I should have taken the time to get to. And I'm like, it's just, I don't know. I feel like that's almost a lose-lose sometimes.
Yeah, you never know. Right.
Or my favorite all the time is, and I'm sure Jen, you've heard that a million times. You're actually really nice. I thought you were gonna be a biatch. It's like, it's hard to not get mad at that because again, people just right away just want to be biased because you're taught if you're pretty, you're a bitch.
Right. I just mirror bitches, but I'm not an innate bitch.
No, yeah, it's like I'll speak up and defend myself and get aggressive. But that's not my nature.
Mirror bitches, but you're not innately a bitch. Wait, please explain that. I have to hear that.
We gotta be careful because we just got monetized. So we just lost all the Disney commercials right now.
I reflect. Right. I am your mirror. So whatever you come to me with,
I treat you the way you treat me.
Yes,
I am your mirror.
Yes, she is.
Exactly.
Listen, I am a direct.
Go out of my way to be mean to people.
I am a direct reflection of that. I can be the most respectful, calm, loving person, but you give me any energy besides that, and
my Hanifa, we don't want to answer the question, Hanifa Mayat. What would you prefer?
What would you prefer, Hanifa?
This question crazy. This question crazy. That's why they don't want to answer. It's crazy.
No, I know it's crazy, but it is a question. It is a
I'm gonna go
question.
y'all simmering. I will answer. First of all, I'm lucky. I'll suspend disbelief. I'm lucky enough to have both. This is my baby girl.
She's
She's
gorgeous.
beautiful.
Wow.
Thank you. Okay, so she's both, thankfully. But if I had to choose, because we live on this planet, I would say I'd rather her be pretty, because whether we like it or not, pretty women go way further than girls who have degrees and are very smart, whether we like it or not, right? Kim Kardashian and her entire family, they're billionaires now. And it's not because they were intelligent women, it's because they all went out and got fake asses. So we can't ignore that. We can't ignore that you can go further in life just because you're attractive. Meanwhile, the girl working 3 jobs to pay off her student loans, who's very smart, is looking at Kim Kardashian roll down in a Rolls Royce. So that is the planet that we're on, right? And that is the truth. So I'd rather her be pretty.
But Kim Kardashian actually is studying to pass her bar. So she's trying, and she's been doing a lot of stuff in policy. So but not just the ads, but I think she's a little bit smart, just a little bit. I think she's smart. That's what I think, and I'm saying that because
she's smart, but she's never led with that until recently.
She never led with. That's what you mean. She never led with it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Because she wouldn't even become famous in the first place if she wasn't considered pretty enough for Ray J to even mess with in the first place.
Right.
Nobody really would know who she was.
I think she's smart enough.
I think the one with the brains is her mother. Her mother is a hustler.
That is a mastermind. Freaking.
I think they all. But here's the funny thing. I think to me, for a woman to date multiple celebrities and make them not care that she dealt with multiple celebrities and still want to be with her, that's a smart woman.
That's smart. Men love hoes.
Not so much, because again, that's a small circle and percentage of people. Like, you can't really date down when you're in that tax bracket, in that universe, in the world of pretty shiny people. They can try, but at the end of it, it's never going to work out because there's going to be insecurity on the normal person's end. Whether or not they're attractive and amazing, whatever. That's why all the basketball wives have all dated the same athletes.
Right.
Lots of men
They're all in the same little universe, whether they like it or not. Even if Tammy Roman divorces her husband, she can't just go to the local gym and find a normal, good-looking, amazing man, because it's still not going to work, because they're
Shawnee O'Neal did.
Who?
Shawnee O'Neal, Jack's ex-wife. She did.
How long she been with him?
That preacher got a tour preacher.
Oh, okay.
She
did. I might sound like a weirdo. I actually don't really watch much reality TV. So if you tell me to name any housewife, I probably can't. I watch the Family History Channel.
Many men right now are dating women from Mayweather's stable. You know how many men are dating?
But there's a lot of women in his stable. You know that.
But this is the thing. Men do not care about
from his stable.
I know.
That is for the men too.
They're the prettiest woman. Everybody dates this. This is my truth. I think there's not a lot of naturally pretty women in the world, and men who are a certain tax bracket or a certain type of network. We all dating the same woman. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Well, the one house we know, Evelyn Lozada, she's in every sporting league.
A lot of men don't care about women's past, and men try to make it seem they do not care. And a lot of men date women who have a troubled past, and they know it. Marry them and be with them, knowing that they were. And I'm not going to even name the celebrities, but knowing they were prostitutes in the past, knowing they're
still prostitutes.
Knowing exactly who they were and don't care, and will still marry them. And they have shown us time and time again that they do not care about women's past, because if they care,
the best coach
care about the arm candy.
Hold on, can y'all do me a favor? Can y'all next show? Can y'all talk about women who have a past? Can they still be? Should they be able to be loved and married? Because I think a woman, even if she's a prostitute or escort, if a man wants to marry her, he should marry her.
Yeah, if he loves it for her. Just because she's a prostitute doesn't mean she's a horrible person. We don't know why she even got into that.
Right.
I had friends that stripped to get through nursing school. I can't sit there and be like, "Oh, you were stripping forever."
One of my best friends was an escort, and I remember she went to get her master's. Then her man left her with 2 children, and she became what she became. And she said that's the reason why she did it. And she started making so much money, and she kept on doing it, and that's what she does. But she invests that money in real estate and stuff like that. I don't knock that, and she has the ability to love a person. Like she actually loves one person, but that's her job. Like she loves it's so I've seen people wife up escorts, and I want y'all to not now, not today, but I really want to talk about, can men love Jezebels, or do Jezebels need to be loved? Can they be loved? She's like Hanifa's like hell to the no.
Women function off of love. We're nurturers, like we're lovers.
Here's the thing: people talk a lot about Jezebel, especially these single women who are in the church. But guess what?
What?
Jezebel had a husband named Ahab.
Ooh.
She was sure enough married, and that's the part they leave out. So we use her name to drag.
Can you talk about that? Can you please educate me on that next show? Next show, I need to know. You can do it now if you want to. We got time because we got to 82. We got to go to 102 viewers.
Man, I got some examples for you. That's
well. Let's you know what? If y'all don't
like day-to-day life.
I want to talk about that. Like, first of all, what is a Jezebel, and what do you call a hoe?
I don't mind women that sell their bodies for money. It's not my vagina. You do it.
All the fashion in the world.
I'm not the vagina police. I don't mind. The only thing I don't like, this is where I find fault. The only thing I don't like is when those type of women try to flex on women that don't do that. That's the only issue I have, because if any one of us wanted to lay on our back and get paid, we can do it. But we choose not to. So that's the only issue I have. But if you want to get it how you live, mama, get your coins. If you want to sell it, sell it. I'm not buying it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, so it's whatever. But that's the only issue I have, is when you try to flex on somebody else that chose not to make money that way. That's the only issue I have. Other than that, vaya con Dios.
Well, especially because it's not like a specialized like skill you had to go to college for or something. It's like we all got a vagina. And it's like, and I'm sorry, like even, not to sound like an ass, but even like ugly women still get laid. Ugly dudes don't always get laid. What is that stupid saying where it's like a woman chooses who she sleeps with? Guys kind of take what they can get. Like, I mean, even when I used to bartend, I would watch it at last call before the lights come on. Last call, you see guys look around like, who's the drunk girl I could take home? You don't see a girl go, oh, that man's over there stumbling. Like, let me take that one home. Like, you know, it's those things where it's like, I don't, in my observations, in my field studies, whatever you want to call it, like, it's just.
Wait, I've gotten a man drunk once or twice. Never mind. Different.
Yeah, and he became my boyfriend. So.
So, Hanifa, what's the Jezebel story? Because I always assume
that's a really hard one, because again, everybody's raised differently and different standards, and like, you know, I mean, like my mom, not put her business out there, she's only been with my dad, so she thinks anybody who's been with more than one man is a hoe or just about, and it's just like, mom, like, trust me, like generation, like it's just different from generation to generation too, and just you know.
What is the whole real Jezebel story? Because you always assume Jezebel.
I just feel like it's somebody who's just like sloppy, doesn't care, is messy, like has everything out there, involves other people, brings drama into like, because like, I mean, I've seen girls, you know, I've had friends that they'll mess with multiple dudes at once, but it's like what she likes one, but one's taking care of her another way or whatever. And it's like, if that's what works for you, okay, you know, but it's one of those to each their own things. It's that's a really hard thing to really be like, look in the dictionary, this is what it is.
Right. Hanifa, I'm trying to get that story from you. What is Jezebel? Yeah. What is a Jezebel? Like, what is that? Like, you on mute.
So I don't know the story word for word, but I do, from when I was a Christian, you know, I remember it being, Jezebel was sort of a woman who she got married to Ahab, who was her husband. And the Bible calls it like she introduces him to like foreign concepts as far as God and different sorts of worship and so on. Honestly, to be honest, Jezebel in the Bible, most people don't see her any different than Delilah, if you understand what I'm saying. However, when we use, oh, that's Delilah, whatever, the story of Delilah is, to me, points out the lack of discipline in Samson. That's just me, right? So it really depends on how you want to look at it. When people use Jezebel, it's almost to say she was a whore. She was, you know, all these different types of things, like manipulative. I mean, we could go down the list. But I do want to say, as far as being hoes, when you asked us that question, I kind of had to sit with that for a minute, because I feel like men are the ones that define these terms, and women perpetuate and uphold them and actually weaponize them against each other. So when you say that, what is a hoe? I'm like, ask your brothers, ask your fellow, ask your ask
Y'all need
your
to tell
species.
us.
Right. No, it's not that they
Yeah,
need
it's the double standard of it all.
right, but I think that there's work to be done as far as women, like Jen was just saying. I mean, she's saying I don't bash, what do you call it, sex work. I don't bash sex work, like people,
Right.
that's how they make their money and so forth. But however, I feel like you talked about this a lot today, King, and I do not disagree with you. I tell people all the time, I have an issue when women have to heal from some of these sister circles that they are part of.
Mm.
I have a serious issue. Women are in therapy because of some of these sister circles. Some of these sister circles have cliques and they're doing damage to women. So yes, women do hurt other women. However, that is because, I'm going to keep saying it, there are some structures in place. And the third thing, that they are actually perpetuating, that they are upholding. And the last thing I would say is that women are fighting always for the male gaze. Always for the male gaze. How you act with other women is determined by the priority or the space the male gaze occupies in your mind. If you do not care that much about the male gaze, then Jen could never be my competition. Monique could never be my competition.
Wow.
That could never be my competition,
Wow.
because the male gaze is not top priority in my mind. Now, if it is, when you enter into a room, as soon as a man enter, as soon as a penis enters the room, then women get all catty because they are competing for the male gaze. That's all it boils down to. And lastly, because I'm going to shut up after this, we also have to speak about what we call the halo effect, whereby Jen, because Jen looks a certain way, then Jen must be a good person. Jen must be innocent. We see this with Ted Bundy. He was considered a handsome man, but he was out there doing some damage. Why were people so trusting towards him? Why were people actually going against their own intuition? Right? Telling them that something might be wrong, ignoring the red flags and the alerts, because he had what we're talking about, which is pretty privilege. When a guy could get arrested and his mugshot goes viral and he get a contract,
That model dude, yes,
that is what we are talking about here, right, King? Your mugshot, King, may not have had that benefit, right? And it's no shade to you, but when you see the brother, you understand exactly why that could happen. And so that's what I'm saying. What we're talking about, people are getting lesser sentences because of the way they look. People are getting worse grades. Your children are getting worse grades because of how they look. Okay. And also, when we talk about women, this starts very young. I'm going to give you the example. Jen, you spoke a little bit about it, and I wanted to jump in and say, remember Blue Ivy and Kim's daughter, and how people try to pit those two little girls? They hadn't even reached 10 years old yet. And people already began to compare them. It starts, and this is in the media. This is in the media. This is in the public sphere. And it starts very young. So I am saying, as far as pretty privilege, I don't have a problem with somebody owning their pretty privilege. I am all for people acknowledging that it exists. But I am also about dismantling the structures and the systems and the concepts and ideologies that keeps that going, and it only benefits and profits and reward a certain segment while marginalizing and penalizing another segment. I have to have a problem with that as a woman, and that's just me.
So to go on the
serious, and I apologize, but that's just my opinion.
And we love it, Hanifa. We love every.
yeah, we love it.
Right. Where is the mic drop button? I'm trying to find it.
That was
Jezebel,
like good.
my opinion, Jezebel, going back to what Hanifa said, men. The Jezebel is defined as a impudent, shameless, or morally unrestrained woman. Because women are supposed to be restrained, I tell you. So again, in my opinion, The Jezebel was coined by men, very patriarchal society, very misogynistic society, because in their mind, women are supposed to be restrained.
Oh yeah, because we're meant to be owned.
Right, restrained. Like
I was like, no, it's 2021.
Yeah, we even use that today in 2021. Like, how dare you sleep around? You're supposed to be restrained. What do we hear from birth? Close your legs, sit up straight. You know what I mean? So men aren't raised with these constant close your legs, sit up straight. Women are raised that way. So that becomes embedded. And when we see another woman who's not closing her legs, what do we hear all the time? Oh, my mama said that you fast, right? To the point where we let child molesters, right, off the hook because, well, she must have been fast because my mama said you shouldn't have been on that man's lap. So, you know, again, it's just patriarchal, misogynistic. A woman that
or did you lead him on or whatever?
Right. So a woman that should be restrained is basically a Jezebel. So are we going to be restrained, ladies?
See, no, and that's BS because, I did a whole episode on my podcast about double standards the week Lori Harvey started dating Michael B. Jordan. Because she's for the streets, Oh, I'm sorry. Nobody, I mean, Future is a known manho, and everybody just makes a joke out of it. It's like, oh, he got 20 kids. Oh, he got this. Like, everybody makes a joke about him being free with his sexuality.
He's
a pretty girl. She seems like a smart girl, all those things. It's like, okay, maybe, what's wrong with her being a young girl, exploring her options in the dating world?
Oh, she was
doesn't mean she's a hoe. It means she's a young girl dating. The whole purpose of dating is to get to know somebody, and if you don't like them, you drop them. There's nothing wrong with that.
She was overly criticized, even though she has no children. She's a single woman. She's successful. She's beautiful. She takes care of herself.
And she doesn't sound messy or anything. You don't see her bad mouthing people or her exes.
For the streets because she dated more than one man. But you guys want her to be fit, beautiful, and cooperative. What you think gonna happen? A lot of men gonna want her because she's fit, beautiful, and cooperative. She's gonna have options because of that. So the very thing that men want you to be, when you become that, and then you get more options because of that, then you become a hoe because you don't know how to be selective and turn down. It's too many of y'all.
I think
we gotta date you all. We gotta figure out which one we want.
I think most men. I think men that complain and call women hoes is basically because they can't get that woman.
Yeah, it's resentment.
It's like when a man starts calling a woman names, it's because you really can't get her. So you gotta find everything to put her down. Like if you are able to get her, or get better than her, then you won't diss her. You won't disrespect her. Right? Like, you just like move on. Like if a girl doesn't like me, I'm like, okay, I'm sorry, princess, you got that. Thank you very much.
And the guys that she dates, they don't badmouth her. I've never seen any of them publicly drag her.
I get that a lot.
The problem is not even the people she's dating. It's society and guys that are mad that they can't date a Lori.
That's right.
I get that a lot in the manosphere. Like in my comments, that's the thing that like the onslaught of the incels. You hold this, you hold that, you hold this, hold that.
Oh.
And when on the lady attorney, when he tried to pick up my age, he was like, oh, for the
lady attorney.
Even the lady attorney, I was like, okay, let's see your ex-wife and put her up against a picture of me, and then we'll go from there. You know what I'm saying? So it's like what men do when they feel like, you know what I mean, you're out of their league. They attack you sexually because they think that you can bring a woman down by calling her a hoe, right? Like we're gonna be like, oh my God, you don't think I'm, moral, or oh my God, you incel across the United States who I'll never meet. Oh my God, I'm so torn up about it. But that's how men have been raised to think that if you insult a woman sexually, you're gonna diminish her. So.
Yeah. And it's not gonna make me want to sleep with you because you insulted me.
So y'all fell for my little trick. So this is the reason I gave you this little trick to get to y'all talking about this, because women were pretty privileged. Yeah, some of the negative things about being pretty that you haven't discussed. You see, Tawana knew I was going with this, right? Let's talk about the negative things associated with being privileged, where you are called certain names because men don't have access to you. right? You are called certain names when because women don't have access to the privileges they assume that you have, right?
We talked about the bad side.
We talked about it, but we didn't go into the real
We didn't delve into it.
Yeah, we didn't go into the toxicity of it, like nastiness that comes with the nastiness that comes with pretty privilege. And also, let's go about what Mayat said. You know, depending on what community you from, there's a different type of nastiness.
Yeah.
Right? Mayat, there's a different type of nastiness that's associated with that. So I want to talk about that.
I got a rabbit hole for your rabbit hole talking about the nastiness.
Right.
Pretty privilege exists amongst men too.
Oh yeah.
I had to.
Damn last.
I had now.
With curly hair.
Watch this. I'm not going to be saying none of this out of hubris, right?
Right.
I'm saying this out of honesty. I had to toughen the hell up. I had to be tough. I had to handle my business because, yeah, you pretty mother. You understand what I'm saying? I didn't understand in the beginning. It didn't make sense to me in the beginning because my mom was not one of those people that was always, oh, you're so handsome. You're my handsome baby. But she was never about that because she was trying to create a different level of character. So when a girl in elementary said, oh, you're cute, I went home. I told mom, she said, I'm cute, mommy. You know, that privilege is not always a privilege, but there's certain privileges that we may have if our look, our physique, our facial structure is that of the facial structures that are commonly considered attractive across the world. You can walk into a room and tend to exude a certain amount of attention. There's certain things that happen. You can tell if you walk into a situation where the flowers may tend to perk up as though the sun is shining over the garden, and then they lean in naturally towards the light. You'll see certain things and might start to primp. You know, it happens. There's going to be things, you know, when I was younger, oh, hey, young man, lady would put a little extra cheese on my pizza. Or, you know, there's things that we as men also exhibit. It sounds, you know, a little tender when you say pretty privilege for a man, but, you know, there's certain things that we were, you know what I mean? I'm 49-year-old dude, so it is what it is, all right? But there's certain things that I do understand. The genetic blessings I may have received from my lineage might have helped me out in certain ways, but it made me become a lion in certain other arenas as well.
Yeah, but
that's what Hanifa said, as long as you acknowledge. Hanifa said, as long as you acknowledge it, she's okay with it. That's what you acknowledge that you have it. Let me speak to the being called a whore, because I was on a previous podcast. I will not talk about the name. I will not say it, but I was very vocal. I'm very I'm feisty. You know, I told you exactly how it is. I'm not necessarily, and I'm not necessarily like that on every show, but I go with the mood, right? They were a manosphere show, so I always felt like I had to be like, no, that's not right, right? I always defend women. But when I started to reject some of the ideas and like conversations and everything, like I was heavily criticized and called whores all the time, and you know, oh, she probably run her man, or her man is a simp, or this, that, and the third, always bringing up those conversations. But the moment I left the show, the first thing they did to try to discredit me was accuse me of sleeping with members on the show and accuse me of being a whore. And I am a married woman. I have been with my husband for 4 years, and I have never slept with anyone else. You know what I mean? But the thing that they would say was that, oh, she did this, and that's the first thing they attacked, and people believed it and was like, oh, she wanted to sleep with this man, and so it is something that is exactly what people do. to discredit you as a woman and to make you feel immoral. I don't have a problem with any person that I've been with in my past. So if you want to bring that up to me and be like, oh, you a slut because you slept with this, well, I made decisions about every person that I've slept with. And I am okay with that decision. And if you have a problem with my decisions, that's on you. But what I will say is that I have been like a direct victim of people lying on me and accusing me of sleeping with other people because of, you know, whatever this privilege is that they call. And like you said, when you reject people, that is automatically puts a target on you, you know. And like when you, I guess in their eyes, they thought that I felt like I was better than them, or I would never be with someone like them. And so they was like, okay, well, we're gonna get you this way, right? And I have never, from a confident man and a man who has his stuff together, I have never been called anything out of my name. The only time I have been called out of my name is literally when it's men who are incompetent, who are less than, who are insecure, who will never, ever get a woman like me, ever in their life. You know, and they won't ever be attracted to women who have respect for themselves. Those are the men that usually over criticize.
Right. Right.
Oh, everything. Because you're reminding. Go ahead, Jen. Sorry.
No, can I speak to that? I think people don't understand, but this whole manosphere thing, or whatever they call it, because I'm new to the YouTube streets as well. People say, well, you know, it's high time that men have a platform to speak about how they feel, right? And I agree with that sentiment. The problem is that the majority of those men, and I will say the majority, okay? The majority of those men have used this platform as revenge on the women they cannot qualify to date, to marry, to get, to impregnate, whatever it is. And they use it as a tool. They weaponize it. I'm going to call all of you hoes. Some of these guys, what they look like, these guys that jump on my page and call me hoe, are really scary looking. And I'm not trying to be funny. When I look at them, like, your problems were way before you set eyes on, right? Your problems were way before you.
I love her.
You just have to let it go. You take a look at them. You're like, it all makes sense now. Now I see why you're coming at me like this. Okay, I'm sorry. You know what I'm saying? I get it. What it must feel like to live in your world, in your existence, and that's why you're projecting. But a lot of these guys are online and they're projecting how angry they are. Now they have access to tell you. Where in high school you walk by them. You know what I mean? When you're in your car, you roll by them. When you're walking down the street, you're like, don't talk to me, I'm not interested. But now they have your comment section.
Mm-hmm. I was about to say that.
Right? It's like showtime in your comments because I can't talk to you otherwise, pretty girl. And you made me feel like shit all my life up until now. So now I got you. Just me.
Now I'm going to get you.
Comments. It's not even them and you. It's them in your comment section.
Yeah.
So even that's
but you know,
it's like the equivalent.
All jokes aside, even Kevin says it. He says, you know, maybe women should date men because the men that everybody wants, they have their pick, right? And they don't really care about what everybody does, right? I'm not going to dish you because if I don't like you, I get someone else. But the men that are, this is a conglomerate of men who want to claim to be this top tier dude, and they don't fulfill the requirements. My issue is not that you all have a false perception of yourself. My issue is you are judging women who you don't have a chance with. You know how crazy that sounds?
You don't even know.
Right.
This online stuff is like the equivalent of like when you're walking down the street, you keep getting catcalled, hey ma, hey beautiful, hey this, hey that. And it's like, and you're being polite, you start ignoring them, and finally when you're like, I'm not interested. You ugly anyway. And it's like, you've been chasing me 3 blocks for the past 10 minutes. And all of a sudden now, like, you want to throw an insult or hoe. And it's like, but if I said yes to you, gave you my number, you take me on a date, I'm not a hoe.
What about the guys that are like, that's why you're single and you have cats and you're not married? I'm like, how do you know I'm single?
But here's the thing. Here's what I say.
Says I'm single here. Or what?
Here's what I say to that extreme. And I say that's the extreme point, because don't get it twisted. There's an extreme version of that in female form right here on YouTube as well.
Yes, there is.
When you are having conversations about aborting Black babies, that is an extreme, okay? And so there is an extreme there, right?
Yeah.
I think that it's like someone in school that it happens all the time. Someone in school that you can't beat them, okay, but they get on your nerve, but you would never step to them. And then chef comes in and chef is whooping them, and you're on the side like, yes, get him, get him, get him. Now you can't beat that person, right? So you are going to enjoy the whooping that chef is putting on them vicariously, okay? And so that's what's happening in that sphere of YouTube. Is there's a lot of flogging of women that's happening, and these people have misdirected anger, right, and trauma. Just so you know, because I honestly think a lot of them are mad at their mamas, but that's a conversation for another day. But I think that there's a lot of misdirected anger, and the men who don't have the guts to step to some of these women they're talking about, right? They are gladly going to participate in their flogging. That's what's happening. And how do I know? Because the minute, and I have seen this happening right now, the minute some attractive woman, because there are women in the manosphere. Let's be clear on that.
Oh, yeah, there is.
But the minute those attractive women give them access, they're falling all over them, which lets me know this is about your lack of access. You are creating another narrative, but this is your lack of access. You're saying it's because they're masculine. You're saying all of these things, but is it really that? And then when you peel back all the layers and all the performance and just pretentiousness, you find out you're just an insecure, scared, hurt little boy. And you're in your 50s on here talking about 20-something-year-old woman. That's insane to me. But that's an extreme. And for me, I don't meet extremes with extremes, because you're not going to take me out of my form. You get what I'm saying? And so oftentimes women get into those spaces and they want to combat it by being extreme. You don't have to. You could decide to dry it in the middle. You could decide to bring the balance. We don't have to go in there becoming them to fight them. We don't have to do that. So there's two extremes, and you could decide if you're going to participate in either. But there's a lot of flogging, public flogging of women happening. And y'all know what I mean when I say that. That's just a metaphor. And men are just in the crowd like, yes, get her, because I can't access her.
Yeah,
that's right. I don't know if you guys know, but
I will say what I would say.
You know, I was actually on Kevin Samuel's show, and you know, he's a huge part of the manosphere. And I was on his show not because I was getting his advice, okay, because I was supposed to. No, because I was on the show to the smoke. I was supposed to be bringing the smoke or whatever. However, I didn't know exactly what was going on with the show. But anyway, he at that time pretty much explained to me that why he got into this avenue. He was like, basically, when he started criticizing women and when he started putting women down, that's when his followers started to increase. And he told me this on the show, like we're having a conversation. And he was like, this is why, because women, he was like, when I was trying to give men advice and trying to direct men, I had very little followers. And the moment I started to talk crazy about women, my followers blew up through the roof, and like he became this like big guru overnight.
He's like,
and so
for all of them, yeah.
I mean, like he literally, when I was having the conversation with him, he literally explained why he was doing this. Like I'm into the exterior. I'm a fashion, like I am, you know, an image consultant. This is what I do. I make people believe that there's something that they're not. And people still follow him. It was crazy to me. I'm like listening to this. I'm like, okay, people hear what he's saying and they still want to be on his podcast. Like they still want to follow him. So what can I do? I'm not going to get on this show and criticize this man. He is the most intelligent man I've ever met. For him to be able to do something that crazy and people still follow him. And I told him, I said, I don't ever need a man like you to validate me. But some women do, and some people do, and for whatever reason, they need that. And I can't tell you why, because you can never tell me that I'm a 4. Like, you can't tell me nothing about myself. I don't care nothing about what you got to say, but people do care, and people follow him regardless of what he says. So, yeah, it's interesting, that manosphere and that whole, but it exists, and people use him to validate who they are, and he does that for a lot of people and his followers. They were like,
let's get this. The manosphere is huge, right? And let's make. I want to make something clear, because I learned from people that actually were in the beginning of the manosphere. The manosphere is huge. The manosphere that you see now is not the manosphere that started years ago, right? And you could do research on this. It's not the same, right? The original manosphere individuals didn't even like Kevin Samuels. They used to make fun of Kevin Samuels. But then when he started making money, then now it's just a shift the paradigm between what the manosphere you see now, you don't respect. They didn't even respect him. They call him the perfume guy. This is a fact. No, this is a fact. So when you know about the history of the manosphere, you realize that he's not what they respected. But when he became to generate revenue and help others generate revenue, he's whatever. He's my frat brother. I'm always going to have respect for him, and I love the fact that he took this game to another level, right? However, I do not condone the way he talks to women who he doesn't perceive as on a certain level. Because when he got next to Brittany Renner, he wasn't the same Kevin that we used to. He did not get on her like he should have. Or like
he didn't treat me like that either.
Because you're attractive.
Nothing but respectful to me. He was,
and I'm guilty of that, because
he was like a queen. He treated me like a queen. Right. That I am.
Right.
He sure did.
But you are attractive, and you're married to a Catholic. So what happens is he has some level of respect and knows what he's doing, right? And I respect that. But me, he knows what he's doing, and he does it very well. And if you want to
push back on that, I think
go ahead, you can do that.
We're about to have a little smoke. We're about to have a little smoke.
Oh God, give me the 30 seconds smoke. Let me get mine. Get the 30 seconds. Put the 30 out. Put the 30 out.
Like, here we go. Listen. We're about to have a little smoke. I gotta push back. Because first I want to address what Tawana said. He's very intelligent. I think not. And here's why. I think for him to operate the way he's operating, he actually has to dumb down.
Yeah.
Right? Because he knows what he's saying is not true. Right?
Right.
And I said on Heavily Flawed Heavily Flawed Individual. I said, and everybody agreed with me. If I'm as intelligent as I am, I can wake up tomorrow morning, I said, start my channel, reconstruct, and start telling Black men they are the baddest motherfuckers on the planet. The alpha and the omega. And they don't deserve the treatment that they get from Black women. How dare Black women treat them the way they treat them? They should be with Latinas, because Latinas would cook and clean and suck their toes, right? I would get wealthy in 12 months. Okay? That's the thing, Monique. I don't have to believe it.
Exactly.
And I don't ever have to have done it in my life. I don't even have to think that Black men are anything. But if I wake up tomorrow morning and On the Block with Jen becomes Black men are not appreciated by Black women, they will make me wealthy like this. Now, does that make me intelligent, or do I have to dumb down what I actually know to speak to a bunch of people who are dumb, right? It's no different than mega church preachers. They peddle salvation in a different way. All you have to do is resonate with someone who doesn't hold themselves accountable for how they contribute to dead end and toxic relationships. All I have to do is validate you. That is all I have to do. I don't have to be smart to do that. Oh, really? She did that to you? Man, she ain't shit. You're everything. Why is she treating you like that? All of a sudden, now we have an affinity. Now you like me. And I can get anything from you. Once I get you to like me, now I can get anything from you. And that's what Kevin Samuels is doing. He's not the first to do it.
He's serving a market.
As a matter of fact, it's so simple to do. This is how intelligent, you don't even have to be intelligent. It's so simple to do that now we have a slew of men doing the exact same thing, making money, doing the exact same thing. To me, true intelligence is somebody did something that a lot of people can't access. I can't do that. How the fuck he did that? Man, I don't have the intelligence. I don't have to look at it. Anybody. We have people that look like Donovan Sharp now making money from bashing women. Look at what he looks like. So I have to push back on, oh, he's intelligent, or he took it to the next level.
An opportunist that is serving a market.
Now I got a little smoke for you. Are we loyal to a fault? This is your frat brother, right?
Right.
He is degrading Black women, whether we like it or not. Some people, he don't degrade them. He's just critiquing them. He's from 1 to 10 in them.
Right.
He's trying to make them better. But we know, he knows that he's bashing Black women. He knows it.
So
weird. He wakes up in the morning. Wait a minute. He wakes up in the morning. He's like, I'm gonna fill my pockets, and all I gotta do is bring a mannequin with an empty womb and say this is what happens to women after a certain age, and he's gonna get paid. So are we loyal to a fault?
Right.
Be loyal to a fault. That's my question. But I don't think the man's intelligent. I could do that tomorrow morning. I could literally go online tomorrow morning and be like, Black men, te necesita algo, yo te quiero, mi amor. Those Black women don't want what? My pockets will be fat in 6 months. If that sits in my spirit to do and be grimy like that, I'll be the biggest shit on YouTube in 6 months. Like,
is that wrong?
So
I don't think that's why he's intelligent. I feel like I had a conversation with him, and he was able to describe things in a way where I understood that he understands things on a higher level than he portrays on the show.
Absolutely.
And I had a conversation with him that lets me know that he is intelligent outside of the show. And that, yeah, you're right. He intentionally dummies himself down for that show. Right. But everybody can't do that. Right. Because if that's the case, everybody else's show would be as popular as the other shows. There is certain people who can do what they do, and they can do it well, and they just become who they are because of that. And there's examples of shows like that, because there are a million Manosphere shows, but there are certain shows that are more popular than others. And you can see why, and you can see the difference. And I'm not saying that he's the most intelligent man in the world. I'm not saying that at all. What I'm saying is that when I had a conversation with him, his conversation was beyond the physical, which I thought it would be. It was a little bit more in depth, and he has a higher understanding of what he's doing than people believe about him. Right. And I do want to address this comment that I kissed his ring. No, what happens is I come on Kevin Samuel's show and I did not disrespect that man because he didn't disrespect me. Right. And I'm never going to disrespect anybody that don't disrespect me. If you treat me with respect, I'm going to treat you with respect. And I came on his show intentionally feeling like he was going to disrespect me. Right. And I got the opposite treatment. He was like nothing but kind to me. And everybody still expected me to curse him out. And I'm like, do y'all understand that's not what I do? But I guess that's what they wanted me to do. But that's not me. So if that's what y'all wanted, too bad, so sad, Joe Dad. Okay.
Yeah, they want blood. They want blood. They always want blood.
That's right.
I want to answer the question.
I'm not saying that he's a dummy at all. I'm just saying what he's doing is not on a genius.
Right. It's not smart.
And if we wait about a year, we will see those other channels that are bashing Black women will be in the millions like his. Give it a year and they will also be in the millions. It's just he wears a suit.
I want to push back on what Jen said about the other channels. I think in a year the other channels are not. We could just time it right now. The other channels are not going to be doing as well as him. I think it was a wave.
Well, he got a head start.
Right. I think it was a wave. I think he did what he did, and everybody's making money doing what he does. But he will be the only one that could really keep.
Have the longevity.
Yeah. Everybody else is going to fade away. I don't think it's going to. I'm proof of that, right? I'm proof of that. I'm shifting the paradigm and not talking about women the way, and I might feel the same way he feels, but my presentation and my tone about it is different. And like I said, if you really sit down and listen to what he says, to me, he doesn't say anything wrong. He just comes off very harsh to people that he feels that's not on his level. Like if we go over all his points, his bullet points, you're gonna be like, wow, that might be true. If you go, and as a frat member, I love my frat. But if a frat member does something wrong to me, I'm gonna let them know, like Shannon. Shannon's my frat brother. Shannon Rawls is my frat brother. He did me dirty, and I tell him you did me dirty. But the difference between my frat brother and another man is that it's only but so far I could go. And plus, he's an older frat member. I have to still show deference. So if he tells me to chill, because of the oath I took, I have to chill. But if I'm allowed to say my truth, I'm going to tell him, hey, listen, I don't really rock with that. That's not it. You feel me? I might say it to him in private. I might not say it to everybody, but it's rules to engagement with frat members. Certain things I cannot do to my frat brother, even when they wrong. I just got to go this way. This is what I do. You do that over there. You feel me? But I'm a man first. Yeah.
One thing Kevin Samuels told me that he said, regardless of whether I disagree with how men think, this is how they think, right? So one thing about the manosphere conversations is when you're in the conversation, you're like, wow, is this really truly how men think? If that's one thing that I've learned is that even if I disagree with what men are saying, or I think it's shallow, or I think it's stupid, he told me, like, you can continue to argue with them, or you can listen to what they're saying and try to understand their perspective. And that was like, okay, it was like eye-opening for me, because I always go into it like, y'all shallow. Why would you think like that? You're never gonna find nobody. I'm always like, this is the But then that kind of made me pause and think like, well, that is how they think. Just like women, we have our ways of thinking. We have our nature. You know, we acknowledge that, and it's not gonna change. This is how we think, and this is what we're going to do. So why can't we accept how men think and how they feel about certain things and try to, you know, come to a common ground? That's the part that I don't like about Kevin.
Here's how I bring Hanifa into this mess. This is what I'm going to do. Hanifa said women are not competitive by nature, but they're compassionate and they're nurturing by nature, right? Cooperative. You say cooperative by nature? Cool. Here's what the problem is with Jen. In this situation, there's men, and I always say this all the time. A woman is going to work. Before she goes to work, she has to make sure the kids go to school. Then she goes to work. Then she comes home. She has to cook. And then a man pulls out his shit and says, I need head. You're like, hold up. I did all that to come back home to give you that. Now, let me change the scenario. You have a nanny that takes the kids to school. You live in a big, beautiful mansion. You have tons of money. You're good. Everything is straight. You don't have to do anything. And your husband comes home and does that. He's saying, if your man's providing you that lifestyle, why is there pushback?
Wait a minute. Pero espérate. How is that a problem with Jen? Because if a man's taking care of
let me finish. The problem with you is most of the men that come at you in the manosphere are the first example. So you're like, you're a bozo. You don't give your woman, you don't give the woman the lifestyle that she wants, but you want her to be submissive. That's what he's really talking about. He's saying if you cannot give your woman the lifestyle she desires, you have no right to be making demands. I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
No, let me tell you, I think Kevin Samuels is very entertaining. I've laughed at a lot of shit that he said.
Me too.
But I really do see him as entertainment. I can't take him seriously otherwise. And what do we always? Men are not a monolith. And then you're also talking about you have to look at options, right? The reason why Cynthia G can't resonate with me, the reason why Kevin Samuels can't resonate with me is because I don't have those issues with the opposite sex. I don't have those issues. I don't have a disdain for Black men. I don't have an issue where it's like, oh my God, I can't get a man. What am I doing wrong? Am I caring too much about my education? But I don't have those issues. So that's why I can look at these guys and say, this is entertainment. That shit he said was funny. Okay, that was funny. Okay, that was true. Okay, that was too much. And I'm a harsh person too. I'm abrasive. I hear that all the time. But men don't like women that are abrasive. They like men that are abrasive, right? But I'm abrasive too. I'm just as abrasive as Kevin Samuels. I'm like, if you have a gut, if you have a receding hairline, if your height starts with the number 5, don't stop hollering at people.
Damn,
right?
Jen?
You went on height.
Damn,
But
Jen.
Samuel says the same thing, but when I say it, why is there more of an injury? So I think he's entertaining. I think he's funny. I'm just like, do you not see this is like the guy from the Wizard of Oz behind the curtain? He's not what you think he is. He got Oz up in it, but he's still the guy behind the curtain. So that's
But Jen, do you think we don't acknowledge?
For the sake of time, Tawana, you can get the last comment off, but for the sake of time, we are going to go to Mayette's page. Mayette, are you ready? Because it's 12 o'clock. Mayette, are you ready to make that transfer?
Yeah.
Okay, so after Tawana last word, I want to say thank you, everybody. Oh man, 92 viewers. I want at least 70 to go to her page, please. All right. The page is Mayette Speaks. Next week we're going to Hanifa's page, and then next week no.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
How do you figure like, don't you guys that's what you just look like.
And then after that, we were going to Jen's page, and then we were going to Monique's page, and then Juana.
Figure out how to work it. Yeah, because
we were going to her page only on Tuesdays. Also at 7 o'clock, go to E Black's page because he'll be doing the prime time at 7 o'clock. And then Thursday, not this Thursday because it's Thanksgiving, Chef will be taking over at 7 to 10. I will have Tuesdays and Thursdays off because it's all about making sure the family eats, right? So that's what we decided. Darrell, whatever day he wants, he could have, because Darrell, I'm not gonna lie to you, Darrell's already at 1,000. He doesn't care. He's about to blow them up, period. So wanna finish it up, and then we're all literally, I'm gonna hang up on all y'all. I don't want to talk to y'all anymore. We're going to Mayette's page.
I have nothing. You know what? It was a privilege. I'm so happy that I came on here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm gonna log on, Mayette, and listen to you. And you know, Jen, I love you. This is my second time, like, you know, working with Jen, but you ladies, it was a pleasure. That's all I have to say. And I can't wait to, you know, get back.
Thank you for saving the day today, Jen. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jen. All right, I'm about to bang it on, or I'm about to bang the phone. And shout out to everybody that's named Mo in real life, who nickname is Mo. Shout out to us. Thank you very much. What sign are you, Mo?
I'm sorry, Pisces.
March 17th. What?
March 1st, first of the month.
Shout out to Willie Dean, the Pisces gang. Shout out to his wife, who's a Pisces as well. All the Pisces gang, we get busy. Thank you very much. And I'm going to say, please, I'm at my yacht's page. And Chef.
Yo.
Thursday, next Thursday, not next Thursday. Give them the rawness, and also he got the smoke session coming on Friday. Don't play with the man. Don't play with the OG.
Friday night smoke session. Bring it. If you got something to talk about, bring it.
Bring it.
It's gonna be on.
And I'm out.
Yep,
and I'm out. I'm out.
Peace.